Define those travels as you can, as they say. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the GOG community. What is going on? It is Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. It's about 5 minutes after 4 p.m. Eastern. I am your host, Arvin Eleron. I am in a good mood today. It is Election Day in the United States. I have already done my civic duty. If you are a U.S. citizen and are watching me, please go vote, okay? Go vote, do your civic duty. As Benjamin Franklin once famously said after the revolution was successful, he said, "You have a republic, now see if you can keep it." And we are doing what we can to keep it, and I am very happy to say that I voted with my daughter there. It was a very proud moment for me as a dad, and I am now back here with you guys, having voted against tyranny, to be able to play some tyranny, and that's what we're doing. I am really, really pumped up to play this game tonight, and I am looking forward to it. First of all, thank you to Outstar for coordinating everything, not only with this stream coming up, but also with Twitch Plays and Stardew Valley. Good job. I don't actually know if you guys managed to plant a pumpkin or what the particular goal was, but it looked like it was wild and woolly. So I hope you guys were having fun doing that, and I hope you're going to have fun tonight as well. Before we get any further, let me ask everybody, please, if you haven't done so already, to follow the stream. Please subscribe to the channel. You can get a lot of awesome spoopy emotes. If I could get some GOG emotes in there, maybe some DRM freeze, that would be really awesome. And please follow us all individually. I'm going to be playing the game that I'm about to talk to you about now. I'll also be playing it tonight later on my own channel as well, so you'll be able to get to see more of it, and my guest will be with me for both of these streams. So I'm super excited. Oh, they did it? Awesome. That's really cool. I'm glad about that. So please make sure to check out all of the individual streamers. A lot of us have Patreons and subscription models and books and music and all that kind of good stuff. So please check us out if you possibly can. And yes, please go vote right now. Pyro is 100% true. If you have not done so already, it really is important. With all that said, let me get rid of this and let me turn on this and what's going on. It's good to see everybody. To prove my point, you'll see right there, that's my I voted sticker. I got an I voted sticker, I'm very happy to say. So I have done what I needed to do. I did the job, and so I have voted, and now I am here with all of you playing some tyranny. This is episode 55 of Pen Pixels, and in a show that is based on story and narrative, I think there is no better time to be able to talk about story and narrative than to talk about a game that I've been looking forward to for a while. This is by Obsidian and published by Paradox, and the game, of course, is called Tyranny. I have done nothing with this game other than to install it and make sure that it captures. I did not go past character creation. I didn't even pay much attention to the introduction of the game because I wanted to see what it was like sort of fresh. But to make it fresh, to sort of talk to people about it, I am going to bring in someone who knows about this work intimately, you might say. And I'm going to bring this person in now. I'm going to capture him for you. Video capture him, I mean. And that, of course, is my good friend, member of the Infinity and Beyond crew on my channel. But he is an author, and he is an editor, and he happens to be the editor who bought my first ever book. That's not why we're friends. It is completely no relation at all. And of course, that is the person who wrote the guidebook for Tyranny, and that is John Helfers. Chat, everyone say hi to John. And John, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Greg. Hi, chat. It's been a pleasure to be here on GOG and Pen and Pixel. I think this is my first time on Pen and Pixel. Isn't that correct?
It is the first time on Pen and Pixels. Yes, you've been on mine quite a bit, but
yes,
not on that one. So I'm going to swing over to this screen, and I'm going to capture you in this screen, so we have it here. And I guess what I wanted to ask to kind of get started is, so you did the guidebook for this, and I want to ask, like, how that all came about. Like, you've obviously had a long career writing and editing for a lot of work, but how'd this all come together when you were going to do this?
All right. First of all, hi to everyone in chat. Really appreciate the greetings and the warm welcome. Yeah, this came out of the blue. But to go on with, I've actually worked with Paradox before. As you said, this is a team up between Paradox and Obsidian. And I did the novel for Warcraft. No, not Warcraft, I wish. Warlock 2, when they did that game that came out, and I got to know Thomas Herenstam over at Obsidian, or not at Paradox, excuse me, a great guy. And so I did that project, and Greg, you and I ran a stream with some friends, and we played the game, and this is all good. And hey, Jedi, no, I nom de plume. And so I think that was a fun time. They paid me well. It was all good. I was very proud of the book. And out of the blue, late last year, no, when was this? This was like 3 or 4 months ago. I got an email from someone at Paradox saying, hey, we're doing this. Are you interested in? And I saw the project and Tyranny. And once I found the theme of the game, I was like, oh, I'm in. I'm definitely in. And so this is a very different project than anything else I've done. I mean, I've done nonfiction about worlds before, but to write this kind of guidebook, and we'll get a little bit more into what kind of guidebook it is, was a very different project than anything I'd ever done, but it would really stretched my capabilities as a writer. And I think we did a good job. I know Paradox is happy with it. I believe the folks at Obsidian are pretty happy with it. And I hope that the readers will be happy with it too.
Super cool. And actually, while you were talking, I just wanted to pull out. So this is the novel that John did for Warlock 2, novelette, I guess you would say.
It's a short novel.
It's
like
a short
40,000
novel
words.
called Warlock 2, and I've read it. It's actually fun. It's kind of a fun, and I think it was fun for you to write as well. So that was the first thing. I played a little bit of Warlock with you, I think last year or the year before. And then this is the book that actually John published with 5 Star, which was my first publisher, called Siege of Night and Fire. John has done a million things, so I mean, those are just the 2 that I happen to have close to hand. But he's going to have more of this stuff out, and I want to point out, chat, that if you take a look at the game itself, the one that I have listed under game for Moobot is actually the Overlord Edition, and the Overlord Edition on GOG is, if you order the Overlord Edition on GOG, you will get a copy of John's guidebook, and I'm going to talk to John more about the guidebook and stuff like that. So that's going to happen. So if you guys get a copy of the Overlord book, Overlord Edition, that copy of the guidebook will come with it, which John actually wrote. There it is, the Overlord Edition pre-order. This game does not come out until Thursday, by the way, so this is an early look, and I want to thank Paradox and Obsidian for providing me with a review build, and also thanks to Outstar Walker and the rest of the stream team for letting me play it, because I've been excited to try it out on my stream, and I'm going to be doing actually a series of this on Pen and Pixels, so it's going to be super exciting. So with all that said, let's fire up the game first of all, and then I'll ask you some specific questions about not just the guidebook but about your experience with this
Okay, we
game.
got a quick question. Some Swordmaster's asking about something Moobot linked to affiliate something. So I don't know if you need to fix that before we get started.
Oh, the Moobot link. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Pyro. Yeah, I forgot that. I keep forgetting. I have an affiliate link that if people buy this game through my affiliate link, I get a little bit of a commission for it, sort of. And that's just created by Outstar Walker, who is a wonderful person. And so, yeah, hold on. Let me get that link. Thank you, Pyro. I completely forgot about that. Let me see what we've got. Let me add that in. Hold on. I'll do it in just a second. This is all part of the plan.
Come on. I bet it's in junk. Hang on. Did they send it here?
Okay. Hang on a second, guys. I'll get that fixed. So hold on a second. Command list. Here's the game. Wait 1 second. Okay, I think I got it now. Okay, now try it. There's someone behind you. Yeah, it was my wife. Okay, try it now, guys. Let me make sure that goes to the right place. Yes, that goes to the right place. Okay, if you guys use that link, then that will use my affiliate link. Yes, thank you for the reminder, guys. See, chat looking out for me. I love it. All right. There we go. Awesome. So with that said, let's pull up Tourney. Also, I dig the music. So Swordmaster wants to know, John, are you disfavored or Scarlet chosen?
Well, when I did the run, my first one, and we'll get into that too, I'm a military buff. I have tremendous respect for the military. I've never served, but I respect people who do. So I initially went with disfavored because that was more my cup of tea. The great thing about this game is there are multiple ways to play, and Greg's going to get into that. Arv's going to get into that a little bit more as we get deeper into it. This is a game with high replayability value, and you'll see the different pathways once we get started with it. That I think is one of its central strengths. So you could do disfavored one time, you can go back and do Scarlet Chorus the next time, and it'll be a completely different game practically.
Nice. I think I'm going to try it. You know, the Scarlet Chorus, I like that conceptually, but I have to say that I've always kind of liked the smaller elite unit thing better. So I may do disfavored, even though it wouldn't normally be, my thought
They
process.
are about as different as night and day, and there's strengths and weaknesses to both of them. I think the Scarlet Chorus, due to its nature, I find is more intrinsically interesting. But like you are, I'm not like, do I really want to get involved in that? Exactly. I understand.
Chat, let me know. So we're starting the introduction.
For over 400
let me know
years,
if it's too loud or not.
The armies of Kairos the Overlord have swept across the
muted because I
known
get your
world.
sound from the Skype, so
All
I'm just going
who
to
stood
kind of
against
go
them
quiet
fell
myself
before
anyways.
their
By the way, someone mentioned earlier on the stream, prepare for 2 hours
Even the
of character
Archons,
creation.
women
Not even
and men
close.
of
I used to be able to whip through
immense
this in about 20 minutes.
were forced
And
to
that
leave,
includes a little mini adventure you're about
chained
to
the
go on, by
Overlord's
the way.
will.
Oh, nice.
And that
Now
plays into
Kairos'
decisions
final
that you'll make later.
conquest
It's
has come
just,
to
I'm going to
Arkham.
shut up now. It's just fascinating. It's amazing.
And 2
what
of
they
the
did here.
Overlord's armies compete for the honor of taking out.
Hold on a second.
Beautiful bear in a tutu. That's a great name.
Okay.
The voices of Nerat, spy master and archon of secrets, guides the fierce and undisciplined masses of the Scarlet Chorus. With each battle, the Scarlet Chorus grows stronger as the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die. Graven Ash, Archon of War and the Overlord's most loyal general, leads the disfavored. Though small in number, Kairos' ironclad legion has never met true defeat in open battle. Watching over the two generals is Tunon, the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, eldest of Kairos' minions. Tunon brings Kairos' laws to newly conquered lands, aided by the Fatebinders, judges and executioners of the Overlord's laws. You were among the youngest of the court of Fatebinders when Kairos' armies came to our lands.
I dig the voice, the choir.
How could we have
Oh,
known
yeah.
that the fate of thousands would rest in your hands?
How could we have known? Because I know who I am. All right. So, yes, so I will say, oh, cool. All right, so here we get into the character creation. Now, two things I want to mention, by the way, to chat. I will ask a few more questions, although John can certainly answer some individual ones. But at a certain point towards the middle of this, or maybe I'll start asking for chat for questions for John. When you type them in to help me out, if you could type in question in all caps, and then colon, and then whatever your question is, that will be awesome. Don't do it yet, but when at a certain point I'll ask for chat to ask questions, you can do that. Secondly, there is going to be a giveaway, but not of codes for this game. We do, however, have other giveaways. John, do you want to tell them what the fine people will have won?
So yes, actually I'm holding up in stream right now. One of the big things about this game that intrigued me is that the basic concept of it, which is in a nutshell kind of what do you do when evil has won the day, is a personal favorite of mine. And we're actually going to be giving away a couple anthologies I edited on these themes, one called Villains Victorious and one called In the Shadow of Evil, both featuring top-rate short stories by excellent authors. I've got 5 copies of each to give away throughout the stream. We'll probably do them, I don't know, every 60 minutes or so.
Something like that.
And they're just really great. Like I said, this theme really speaks to me because I really think it's interesting as an adjunct of the good versus evil kind of conflict,
Yep. No, cool. All right, so in the Northern Empire where you were born, men enjoy equal protections under the laws of the Overlord Kairos. In the southern lands of the Tiers, only men may own or captain ships. Hello, Classicor. But real estate is restricted to women. Men may lease, but durable ownership of the land in the Tiers always passes to eldest daughters or sister. Oh, that's interesting. Most sons enter their father's profession by their mid-teens. Those without a profession or family lands to work can find purpose by pledging service to one of the Overlord's mighty archons. Criminals, derelicts, and others are often conscripted into the armies of the archons. If a child cannot forge his own skein, he certainly will... Skein? He will certainly find one in battle. Every time he says archons, I'm thinking of the old Star Trek episode, Return of the Archons. We are the archons! Which is a great episode, by the way. Let's see what we got here. Okay, face and hair. Oh wow, we have lots of choices. All right, we got ourselves that.
Very customizable.
That's if I want to be Bruce Lee. Let's see. No. Oh wow, with the ponytail.
Hey,
It's okay. Oh my God, if I want to be, I don't know, some anchor, it's not bad. It's maybe a little bit too. Okay. So Nightwolf, the other person on stream with me, again, for those of you who are coming in a little bit late, hello. This is a exclusive look at Tyranny, and I say exclusive because I'm the only one with this guest. And that is, I have with me John Helfers, who is an author and editor and is the author of the guidebook written for this. And actually, as I'm putting together this list, John, do you want to talk a little bit about, because as you pointed out, this is not a standard, I read it and I figure out how to play the game. So can you talk a little bit about what is in the guidebook? What sorts of things they can expect to see?
I would be happy to, because it's, again, we were talking before the stream started, it's not kind of the typical guidebook. So a lot of you know, and I know Arv, you've played it before, you've played Pillars of Eternity. Mm-hmm. And they gave me, when we were first talking about, I was talking with Gustav Groth, a terrific guy at Paradox, my editor there. He was just amazing. And we were talking about what we wanted to do with the book. And he gave me the Pillars of Eternity guidebook to look at, which was beautifully done, very informative, and very rich. at the same time, and they did a really great job on it. And I certainly do want to speak about against anyone. Certainly not Obsidian. I know what they want to do with the game and what they did, but it just seemed like, I'm going to say it was a bit dry. As I told Gus, I was like, well, it's kind of a little like, I hate to say this, but it's very informative, but it's kind of like reading an encyclopedia. And what we wanted to do was make this guidebook a little bit more immersive. And so what we ended up doing.
Hey, pause for 1 second, John. I'm sorry. I want to just get the voice down so that you can then continue without me interrupting you. So let me see, just 3 choices. I got male aggressive.
Oh.
Oh my God! What? I need to make that louder. Can I make that louder?
I want to hear.
Hold on. Let's try that again. What now?
Quite on it. Found something.
Okay. Male noble.
Good work. You learn something every day.
You learn something every day. Or male sneaky.
Got it.
Okay, I'll fix that. I'll fix that a little bit later, guys, when we get past this stage. Male noble looks good. Okay, sorry about that, John. On you go.
No, quite all right. So, and honestly, I borrowed a technique from Shadowrun for stream. Those of you, I should have given a little bit more information on myself. I also work for Catalyst Game Labs doing Shadowrun and BattleTech Fiction, and I've done some game work for them as well in editorial. And what I wanted to do was actually what we do in Shadowrun, for those who've played, maybe those who haven't, the guidebooks also have some what we call fluff in terms of in-game characters commenting on certain aspects of the game itself. So it's kind of a little bit meta. And I wanted to borrow that and take it into the guidebook. So while we go into, what the tiers are, what magic is, the heroes, your new benevolent overlord, and all that fun stuff, there's also commentary from characters that you can have as your companions, like Barrack and Verse. And the guidebook is technically written by Lantry, who you're also going to meet in the game. And so it's in his voice, and I got to use Tune on the Adjudicator, which was actually a lot of fun to write, and a little bit of Graven Ash, that is favorite leader as well. So they put comments in between, like they're commenting on, and there's one by Nerat as well, by the voices of Nerat, which is a lot of fun.
It sounds like Volo a little bit, John. Like Volo's got stuff.
Exactly. That's a very good analogy. So I also wanted to be a little bit more immersive and a little bit more conversational. So writing in Lantry's voice, which is a very distinct one, when you encounter him, you'll see what I mean. So I tried to keep that and make it kind of almost like a diary or a journal he was writing. But it became kind of this. For those in the tiers that we have just taken over, this happens after the conquest is technically done, by the way, when you're starting the game. And now I have to go mop up these pockets of resistance. So for those people, it's like, welcome to your new empire. And then for people already on Kairos' side, it's like, well, here's what you need to expect. It's kind of a guide to the tiers in a way. So it's a little bit of both. And that was a challenge, making that balance, but it was a lot of fun. And like I said, I hope you guys, if you pick up the Overlord edition, I hope you enjoy it. I had a lot of fun writing it.
There's actually a question which I'll throw up right now, which is about Shinros, from Shinros, which is it possible to buy the guidebook after release? Do you know? Will they be able to make that separately available?
There has been talk about making something like that, so I'm going to tentatively say I think so. I believe if we're really lucky, maybe I'll even get a real book out of it, which would be terrific. I don't know exactly what the plans are. Since we're 48 hours from launch, I know that everyone at Paradox and Obsidian are in crunch time mode, of course. They always are. So I'm not sure. Hopefully that will be a thing, because to me it makes perfect sense. But at this point, I can neither confirm nor deny. So I'm afraid I can't give as much information as you might like.
The other thing is, so Gray Origami, the other ones for hold on to that question, Gray Origami. I will come back to that, but I want to make sure I ask them at a certain time just so I can get through some of this. I also want to say Toad Relish, I agree with you. I felt like the game kind of came out of nowhere also for me. I mean, I knew it existed, but there's been so much hype, for example, Dishonored 2, which I'm really pumped up for, or games of that sort, that all of a sudden everyone's like, hey, guess what? Tyranny's coming out this week. I'm like, well, what? So it kind of flew under the radar screen a little bit. There have been other information and streams and things like that done. I know that Hyper RPG is doing this as well, but not with this particular guest. So I'm going to do Noble Scion because I really like the feel of this, especially since I chose male noble. So born to noble parents, you were groomed for leadership. Your youth spent on letters, history, rhetoric, and other matters of culture and statecraft. Though you had wealth and creature comforts, you were expected to grow up quickly and bear the honor of shepherding others through prosperity and war. When your parents came under accusation of sedition, you were sent to the court of Tunin, Archon of Justice. And again, tune on. And I like how you click over that, and it shows you tune on the Adjudicator is the Archon of Justice, ruler of the conquered realms, arbiter of disputes, oldest of the Archons. Tune on speaks with Kairos' authority. His true appearance remains hidden behind an iron mask, the face of judgment. Impartial, sober creature, wholly obsessed with justice and order. Though soon to be a powerful combatant, Tune on rarely strays from his throne room, entrusting his court of fate binders to act as his eyes and ears, as well as judges, juries, and executioners. I like that little right-click context menu within story. It was really, really cool. So anyway, let's see. Your parents were found guilty. Their sentence, the dissolution of the treasonous estate. Eloquently pleading your own ignorance on your family's actions, you negotiated your most important deal yet. Immunity from the crimes of your family for the simple cost of swearing fealty to the Archon himself. Despite the unwilling induction, your education and savvy made you a valuable addition to the Archon's cadre of enforcers. And so long as you remain in good standing, your family just might be allowed to live. See, it was either between that or the diplomat, but I'm going to call noble because, I don't know, I just like the feel.
Well, it's an interesting idea, Arv, to play someone who sounds like it's like, and as you go through character creation, you'll see where you edge on towards of combat versus diplomacy, which both are very much carry equal weight in this. I want to get Swordmaster 5 asked a question about a giveaway on Mod B. When are the winners announced for that? Which I don't think we're involved with at all, but I wanted to make sure that, Arv, if you know anything about that, you can tell them what the answer is.
Mod B, I don't know if you're referring to Swordmaster. If you're talking about the stuff regarding Stardew Valley that you just did, I don't know. I don't know when that stuff is being given. I don't know how that's being handled, but that's being handled probably by Outstar Walker and those folks. So yeah. The giveaways that we're doing on here about the books and everything are specific to us. So that, yes.
And old-fashioned paper books.
Old-fashioned paper books, exactly. Well, on this show, listen, they better like that stuff.
Okay,
so we got Sword and Shield, we got Javelin. Interesting. Okay. We got Short Bow, we got Unarmed Attacks, Shock Spells, Charge Fist, Frost Spells, we've got Vigor Spells, we got Atrophy Spells. Okay, no. I would say
you could be a Dark Scion Mage Caster Noble.
I was trying to decide, between that. I mean, I love the idea of Javelin, but I don't know why a Noble would be using a Javelin. I don't know.
Because you don't get close to get stabbed by people. That's why.
That's true. You learn to throw spears from a distance. I like it.
Exactly.
I like it. There you go. I'll pick up on that. So Javelin
let me jump in, Rogue. Dementia, you're absolutely right. There's a comment. I understand the guidebook talks more about game lore. It's not just some simplistic, heartless walkthrough. Exactly. We was very much trying not to go for that. As a matter of fact, and I need to stress that for you guys in chat, if you're expecting a walkthrough from the guidebook, you're probably going to be disappointed, to be quite honest, because that is about as far from it as possible. We wanted to talk about lore. We want to talk about give you guys more depth to the world and the characters. And that's really what we went with there. So yeah, it's the game term is fluff, but I think it's applicable fluff. And I think you're going to read it and get just more information on the world and the characters and what's going on in the tiers and how things have changed with Kairos taking over, basically.
Speaking of two things I want to mention here. First of all, the music is really good. Secondly, the art style, very polished, like really. I mean, not that I should be surprised, but it's just, again, I'm impressed. So I get two options. I get a heart shot, which is delay your aim to focus on hitting the target's heart, okay, or hobble, target your enemy's feet with a ranged. No. We're clearly heart shot is the obvious choice. Okay. All right, secondary expertise. Believing that all of his agents should be well-rounded, Tunan ordered that you receive training in a secondary combat style. Fatebinders are often deployed under treacherous circumstances. One's ability to adapt to unexpected changes, like sudden violence or illegal entanglement, can represent the difference between life and death. Okay, so that, I think, let's see, shock spells, frost spells. You know what? I'm going to do... I feel like in Legend of Grimrock, I tried to play a shock mage, and it worked out okay, but I'm going to continue to hope that some game gets it right. So I'm going to go with shock spells. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Charged Fist. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here we go. So that is done. Now we get to banner customization. What? You get your own banner? Okay, well, first of all, clearly we're going with red and, let's see, gray? No, purple? No.
See, I thought you'd be more of a green guy for some reason. I have no idea why.
Well, because of the Ranger thing, maybe?
Yeah, I guess so.
I could see that, but no, actually, my favorite color is red, I have to be honest.
Oh, okay.
So,
the
yeah.
fear of blood.
Look at that. Look at that. Yes, red and black. Sparta. We are Sparta.
And the customization here, as you can see, is just crazy.
Oh, my God. That is, okay.
Crazy good. Yeah.
Epic. All right. First of all, That's sweet. That looks like something. Doesn't that look like Mech Warrior stuff to you, or BattleTech stuff to you?
Very much so.
You know what I mean?
Very much so. It is. No, I wouldn't say crossover, but you could see that flying over a great house hall. Yeah, absolutely.
Or something like, or actually the Banner Saga, which some of you guys on GOG know about. I've had the guys from Stoke Studio for the Banner Saga 1, and this reminds me a little bit of that customization. Okay, that bird is too awesome. I'm sorry. You can change the color of the banner? Yep. Oh my god. All right. And yes, look at the
just going through this blew my mind in terms of how much detail they put in. It's
Oh man. No, that's not good. Black. Yes. or do we want black and red? Yeah, that's even better. Even better. Black and red. What's up? Okay. I love it. All right. Enter name.
That's fierce. That's very fierce.
Okay. I don't know if I want to associate Arvin with this guy. No. Who could I associate him with? Let's see. How about... Okay. This is the little known, I use this sometimes, cousin or brother that I sometimes pull out. So Coronel Eleron. I will pull out for this one. All right. Oh, okay. So Swordmaster says what he's talking about is there's something called, there's a Mod B Tyranny News. There's a giveaway that I guess Tyranny is doing, John, that he's referring to.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I don't know anything about that.
Do not, can't help, Swordmaster, sorry.
All right, here we go.
Yes, dementia. One of the things I was talking to Arv about is that when I was writing the guidebook, in order to get the voices right, I got to listen to all of the voiceover text as the actors were delivering it, and it was just phenomenal.
That's pretty sweet.
Phenomenal.
Okay, so we've got might, we've got quickness, and we've got wits here. So might, physical strength, more powerful attacks, stronger abilities. Okay, that makes sense. So obviously I want a couple points in that. Quickness, because of my training in Javelin and Shock Spells, so obviously I want to be very quick. So let's throw that up to 14. Let's put my wits, which is increased spell strength, is increased magic defense. Do you know, John, if wits also affects dialogue options? Because what I love to do in games like this is I like to be all about talk myself out of combat if I can. Mm-hmm. So do you know...
While I do know there are options, I don't know if wits will give you different guide paths. I didn't dive... It was funny seeing behind the scenes of stuff, but I didn't dive into that kind of depth. So I don't know. So the way you play, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Okay.
But I do know there are definitely diplomacy threads that are available for sure.
Okay, so we got 14 in quickness, we got 12 in might, we've got 12 in wit.
Standard.
I think that's pretty good. Power gamer, yeah. That's me. Okay, skills. Here we go. What do we got for skills?
Actually, Rat said we're almost done with character creation. There's not too much more to go. So.
Okay, we got athletics. We've got dodge, lore. Hell yeah, hells to the yeah on lore. Okay, now we want a couple more points in thrown weapons.
Well, Felgen, what do you call short character creation? I don't think this is very long at all. He's almost done. So, are you talking like an hour? And you've done this, I think we're under 10 minutes here.
Yeah, I mean, 10 minutes.
If
people are just like...
your banner colors crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, if people are flying through them that quickly, I'm a little shocked, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's have a couple of parry. I definitely want to be able to dodge. Let's get a couple of points for athletics. I think I'm good with...
You're noble. You train for that kind of stuff. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. And let's throw another point in dodge. I don't have to worry about parrying if I don't get hit.
There you go. Yes.
Okay, here we go. So, lovely. That's wonderful. And how do you want to continue? Conquest or quick start? No, conquest. Are you kidding me? Because I assume conquest is the... Okay, here we go. Let's do it.
Yep. This is where
you do the thing.
Put the thinker cap on because things start happening.
Okay. Let's do it.
Yep.
All the world has fallen to Kairos. And now the Overlord's eye is on the Tears. Our home.
All right. Looking good. Yeah, that's pretty boss. That's very sharp.
Kairos' reign. Two armies. The disfavored and the Scarlet
Exactly,
Chorus
Sharian.
march south from the Northern Empire. the last realm to fall to Kairos a century prior.
All right. So far, so good.
In the early days of 428, Kairos' armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we Tearsmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the Tears sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors. Until it's too late.
Till it's too late. Yeah, I promise, Gray. We will get to questions at the top of the hour. We'll do a giveaway, and I'll open it up for questions to everybody. So fear not. We will do that.
Okay.
All right.
Here's where the fun starts.
Okay. During the conquest, you will decide your character's actions during Kairos' invasion of the Tears, shaping the world through which you will adventure over the course of the game. Each choice you make affects your character and how major factors of the Tears respond to you. Your decisions matter. Choose wisely. All right. 428 TR, year 1 of Kairos' conquest. Zoom into map. All right. Whoa, cool.
Yeah, the artwork is just amazing.
Really
it's
neat.
just unreal.
The Bastard City, and I love these context things. Okay, so Bastard City, named for its position between two realms, the Northern Empire and the Southern Tiers, the Bastard City and its surrounding lands, known as the Bastard Tier, also known as the tier of Pokemon, right, guys? You got top tier, then you got Bastard Tier. No, I'm just kidding. Is a melting pot of cultures and a place of commerce and intrigue. The Tearsmen of the South view the Bastard City as a place of wealth and excess, but to the people of the Northern Empire, the Bastard City is little more than a sprawling slum. Tunin the Adjudicator established his court in the Bastard City. From this foothold in the Tiers, he and his court of Facebinders imposed Kairos' law upon the conquered lands. And Grey Origami, not at all. I wasn't saying you were being pushy. I was just letting you know that would be the case. Okay, speaking of Kairos, this guy we keep talking about. Kairos is a name out of legend. For centuries, the Overlord has consolidated power, sending vast armies to swallow entire realms. The most powerful mystic the world has ever seen, Kairos can issue edicts, magical proclamations that level cities, spread pox, sunder the lands, or change the course of seasons. If I may take a moment to put in a shameless plug, this reminds me a lot of the setting of Storm Talons, which is Ed Greenwood's setting, Storm Talons, in which there's something called the Hierophar, who's a character like this, that keeps the whole world basically under control of low magic, because he's got all the magic, or most of it, and that's the world that my book Greyshade just came out in September. So this is reminding me a lot of that, which is cool. The Archons, the masters of magic throughout the known world, bow to Kairos, and the Overlord readily destroys any Archons unwilling to kneel. These sorceresses and madmen lead the Overlord's armies in near-endless conquest. As the realms of the known world fall to the Overlord, these captured territories are divvied up amongst the Archons to manage. Able to deliver suffering and woe to every corner of Teretis without leaving the capital, few have seen the Overlord in person. Though Kairos' name is the single most recognized name in the world, only the Archons can say what the Overlord looks like. Knock on wood, by the way, I have yet to come across one single typo or grammatical error, which is really impressive, including, that's good stuff. So good job, Obsidian, thus far. Blah, 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 blah. So its symbolic status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target in Kairos' military conquest. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kairos' armies. Taking this city would send a message to the rest of the Tiers. Kairos' will is insurmountable. All right, here we go. Select a token on the map to begin. What? Okay. So we've got
if I remember
the
correctly,
Tiers.
we actually tell, in the guidebook, for example, I tell of how Tunon came to the Bastard City and what happened there.
Ooh, sweet.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
That's the kind of depth we go into, but you go on you have a little mission here to go on. So.
Okay, so we've got two choices, I guess. Infiltrate the Tiers or Gates of Judgment. No, we're going to infiltrate the Tiers. All right, history would remember the Gates of Judgment as the first battle of the conquest, but the real combat unfolded with advanced units of both armies preparing for the coming war. The Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus each had a plan to infiltrate the capital city. Which army did you join? All right, chat. So let's check it out. Let's see what each of these does. Let's start with the Disfavored. Disciplined and battle-hardened, the Disfavored are an elite legion in Kairos' army. They spearheaded the conquest of the Younger Realms, finding themselves always outnumbered but never outclassed. Led by the steadfast and dutiful Graven Ash, that's cute, whom they follow with obsessive devotion, they are committed to imposing their interpretation of order upon the relative lawlessness of the Tiers. The Legion only tolerates Northerners in their ranks, priding themselves on their high standards and cultural purity. So basically, it's the Stormcloaks, but more evil, as I understand it from Skyrim.
That's pretty close, yeah.
And then Scarlet Chorus. Let's see. The giveaway gives you an actual book or an ebook, John. The giveaway that we're doing, actual book.
Yeah, I was just typing it out.
Actual.
Honest to goodness, an actual honest to gosh.
Honest to God book.
Paper and ink and everything.
The Scarlet Chorus is little more than a gang of thugs and their captive slaves. Well, that's appealing. Rather than organized under commissioned officers, the Chorus follow a hierarchy seemingly ruled by whoever has the bravado to command and defend their position. At the head of this chaotic pecking order, the Archon of Secrets, better known as the Voices of Nerat, treats the Scarlet Chorus as his personal army. The Scarlet Chorus often suffers tremendous losses after battle, only to swell in the aftermath when captured enemies and collateral prisoners are given the cruel opportunity to join or die. I like that. It reminds me of the Zerg. I think very clearly that this guy is more a disfavored guy, so I'm going to aid the disfavored scouts. You lent your skills to the elite disfavored scouts to capture a border garrison. Graven Ash, let's talk about this dude. The last of the great northern generals to stand against the Overlord in ages past, Archon Graven Ash now serves Kairos as supreme commander of the disfavored legion and is charged with conquering the Tiers. Graven Ash shares a powerful bond with the soldiers under his command and regards each of them as family. The death of a soldier at enemy hands represents a grievous loss to the old general who bears the burden of his love with mournful stoicism. Fisher, if you're talking about Greyshade, if that's what you're speaking about, yeah, we're giving away actual books, but if you're talking about Greyshade, that book, there is a hardcover edition, which maybe is what the link in Moobot is linking to, but there's also an ebook edition, which is $9.99 and is available on Amazon and everywhere. So maybe if someone who knows about this could run and get that ebook link and post it in chat for people if they want to know. It's not $25 for that, it's $0 for that. So, yes. Right, okay, so Graven Ash. So, insisted an early victory in the offensive would boost the morale of his troops and diminish the haughty overconfidence of the Southerners. Yeah, screw the Southerners. The Oathbound scouts identified a modest border defense and collaborated on an organized attack that would leave the enemy uncoordinated and cut off from aid. You oversaw the preparations and offered your opinions on the strategy. When the clashing of swords and spears fell to silence, followed by the cheering of disfavored scouts, you were the least surprised. All right, now we have a choice. We have Inside Agent, or we have Containing the Fire. Nah, man, Inside Agent. You found an ally within the city to prepare the way for the upcoming armies. I dig it. That's the one in German. That's the German one, but... well, that's it. Yeah, Dementia, because you're thinking about my gamebook playthroughs. The reason why is because I don't want to slow things down too much. I want to be able to actually get into the game itself. And there's so many different things that people could choose that this is just my own individual path. That's all. Because I'm going to be using this to go forward. I'm going to be playing this as a series on here. So I'm going to use this to go forward. All right, Inside Agent, baby. With the border garrison captured by your disfavored allies, you traveled ahead of Kairos' armies and lurked in the shadows of the bastard city. You decided that converting one of the locals to Kairos' side would help bring the city to its knees. After all, corruption stands from within. So, well-informed guard captain, yeah. You enlisted a bitter captain of the guard to sell military secrets to the disfavored. Nice. Better that Kairos' forces march to their next inevitable victory well-informed. The captain of the guard was of the mind that the bastard city was corrupt and deserving of better leadership. Hell yeah, it's deserving our leadership. You did nothing to convince them otherwise. We're not the leaders they need, that they deserve, we're the leaders they need. You did nothing to convince them otherwise. After taking your promises of stature and security to heart, he offered you a list of valuable assets, from weakened stones in the rampart to the state of siege provisions, capping it off with a list of city officials whose loyalties could likewise be turned to support your cause. Your tactics of infiltration placed you in the bastard city ahead of the main armies. Your work softened the city defenses for the arrival of Kairos' forces, but you wanted a decisive gesture that would give your allies a meaningful advantage. How did you assist in the fall of the bastard city? Let's see. Duel the city marshal. Interesting. Incite a riot. Also interesting. Spread fear through assassination. I don't feel like duel is this guy. And I don't think incite a riot. I think assassination is what we're talking about here. Keeping to the shadows, you eliminated the leaders of the bastard city one by one, and you get an ability from it. You can create a cloud of obscuring shadows and dust. For a short duration, enemies that use physical attacks against you have a significantly increased chance to miss. During this time, your attacks will also be less effective. That's cool. So you get an ability based on the choice that you make. That's sweet. Thank you, EA, so much. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Let's see. Some deaths were quiet and unnoticed, while others were gruesome beyond words. As a wave of murder overtook the city's elite, your deeds swelled in infamy. Well before the armies arrived, no one in the bastard city felt safe in their homes, much less behind their walls. By the time Kairos' forces crested the horizon, the city was fearful enough to throw open the gates and welcome their new protectors. Hello, my people. Welcome to the people. We will keep you safe from yourself.
Yes, exactly. That's Kairos will keep you safe.
Kairos will keep you safe.
Yes, you're now under the aegis of the Overlord.
All right, let me zoom out. So, the bastard city settled into a new state of normalcy, with every tower displaying Kairos' banner. Your name was whispered alongside rumors of a decorated career to come. The armies divided into two fronts and migrated south. Tunin sent word that you were to join the next frontier of Kairos' conquest, either as judge and overseer of the settlement of Leviathan's Crossing, or as a war advisor with the armies advancing into the realm of Apex. All right, well, not Leviathans, Lethians, I beg your pardon. Lethian's
Yes.
Crossing. You know something about this place? Did you write about this at all, John?
In a bit. This one wasn't as extensive as the Bastard City. But Lethian's Crossing I wouldn't call it like necessarily the Mos Eisley of the lands, but it's certainly a place where
wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Well, not to that degree, but it's more of a as I recall, if I'm remembering my lore correctly, it's more of a little bit of a refugee point. But keep in mind, this is during the campaign to take the tiers. So what you're doing here, when you go to Lethian's Crossing, will be different because like 3 or 4 years have gone by.
I see. That's really cool. And could I move to the chat to the top? Yes. Thank you. Not having captured any of it because, yes. In fact, what I'll do is I will move it over here because I think more of the action is happening over on the left side. Thank you thanks, Vars.
I didn't know you could do that. I would have asked that myself because I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry. Yes, The Pirate. I agree with you. The Black Company by Glenn Cook. I agree, and Glenn's stuff would sort of fit this. Also, Joe Abercrombie. It seems to me has some connection to this. If you read any of his Red country stuff, it fits this as well. Built in the shadow of an old walls junction in the realm of Haven, Lethian's Crossing is a growing trading settlement. The nearby rivers are rich in iron ore, though the locals lack the technology to smelt and forge the element. In the years following the Kairos' conquest of the Tiers, the population of Lethian's Crossing swelled with refugees fleeing the destruction of their homelands. The presence of the forge-bound mining the iron along with their guards makes this makeshift settlement a vital resource for Kairos' armies. All right, so this is me as the Roman governor, right? Going here. And even though what does it do with Apex? Troops of the mountain realm of Adex stood idle in the safety of their valley, biding their time as the neighbors in the bastard tier fell. A joint force no. Although it little profits that an idle king should wait around and mete out unequal laws into a savage race, I will do so nonetheless in Lethian's Crossing. And let's go there. I'll tell you exactly why, Pyro. 429 TR, year 2 of Kairos' conquest. Give me a second and I'll explain why. I love this setup, by the way. This is great. Reminds me of Strahd. The reason I put chat on the video is because lots and lots and lots of people after the fact go to YouTube to watch these VODs after the fact. And there's nothing that frustrates me more looking at a VOD when someone's like, oh yeah, because blah, blah, blah. That's a good call. Oh, I totally agree with you. And you have no idea who they're talking to or what the context is. So that's why I always put the chat on the screen. I've done that forever because I really am mindful of the people watching it after the fact. And not everyone goes to Twitch. In fact, more people, I would say, go to YouTube for the after the fact vids. So that's why. Years ago, Lethian the Bold founded a small merchant town at the intersection of ancient old walls. A pact between the settlers and a mercenary company meant that caravans were able to travel without fear of bandits or bane, and the town thrived in modest insignificance. Lethian's Crossing drew Kairos' attention for the iron deposits in the surrounding hills. With the region under Kairos' control, the northern smith mages could set up workshops to retire ore and arm the disfavored with the finest weapons in the known world. The Archon of Secrets dismantled the mercenary support with a generous bribe, taking the crossing in a bloodless victory. Tunan dispatched you to travel along Kairos' forces and bring order to the region. Yes, I will bring order to the region, people. Let's do it.
One thing I want to comment on here is you see, and hopefully stream is seeing and Arv, you're seeing that the details of things you're already knowing in the game. For the guidebook, for example, I really wanted to make sure it wasn't just regurgitating the same stuff you were seeing in the game, because that's not going to be any fun for anybody. So part of the approach we took was other information that would hopefully give more depth to these scenarios and these locations, and B, like I said, the comments I know there's a very particular one by Barrick that comments on the little struggle to take Lethian's Crossing. It wasn't quite so bloodless as Turan would like you to believe. and he has a very strong opinion on why that was, but you'll have to read that in the guidebook.
And John, I was going to ask about that, and you said it's mostly from one person's perspective, or are there multiple people commenting?
Multiple people.
Okay.
Multiple people. I had Landry do kind of interviews with people. And then, like I said, there's one and only one comment from the Voices of Nerat basically commenting on after his section on the Scarlet Chorus, which is not entirely complimentary, because another Archon, like Landry was working for Tunon, much like you are. And so we kind of said Tunon in his introduction, explains Tunon has asked me to make this my next volume in Kairos' pretty much conquering of the entire continent of Taratus. So this is like volume 12 because he's done this before. And so under this aegis, he's gone and he's kind of like traversed the world and gone to see these sites and this, that, and the other. So that's how it works. But there's definitely multiple viewpoints and different people speaking. I don't have long conversations. It's not like a back and forth. I usually try to keep it to only one person speaking about one aspect because otherwise it might get too confusing. So I kept it to a limit, but I wanted to give a range. So there's definitely multiple voices in there.
Gotcha. Okay, so we got two options. We got the iron must flow. You found a clever solution to improve production of iron weapons and armor. Or the cult of Siren. The Archon of Song's power ensnared the mind of a disfavored soldier. I mean, come on. What am I going to walk around and be like, let me check out new iron techniques? No. The cult of Siren, man. Siren, Archon of Song, used her arcane charm to lure locals into joining Kairos' army. As a patroness of the Scarlet Chorus, her efforts were critical to the conscription of new recruits. When an enthralled, disfavored soldier joined her cult, his company feared that the Archon was growing out of control and needed to be stopped. Destroy Siren's cult, or send Siren's cult to the vanguard? Hell no, destroy the cult! The disfavored demanded that the Archon of Song cease her recruitment practices and that they be allowed to violently subdue her cult of followers. The loss of soldiers was a significant setback to the Scarlet Chorus's conscription efforts. Too bad, disfavored for life. In response to your ruling, the Archon of Song departed your company in bitter silence, but not before releasing her arcane hold over the latest batch of recruits. The disfavored remained obstinate that the dispersal of her cult continue as planned. Hunting down the confused or memory-stricken innocents, they put to death those who they couldn't beat into obedience. The Scarlet Chorus barely restrained themselves from the indignity, which proved a major setback to their army's strength and numbers. All right, so we cut down a horde. They're going to have to find more horde people elsewhere, you know?
Now, I want to bring up, there's a certain word in that paragraph called ruling that I want to kind of talk about. Because what you are, the character that you play in the game is called a fate binder. And I'm really kind of surprised they haven't brought that up yet in the game.
They mentioned it just once, just said you were the youngest.
Just the one time,
yeah.
Exactly. And that, maybe they'll go into it once you start playing, but what you are as a vassal, for lack of a better word, of Tunon, you're actually kind of like a walking judge, jury, and executioner going around making these decisions. At least in this portion. Later on, when you start playing your character, it gets a little bit more complex. But you are speaking with Tunon's authority, which therefore technically on the level gives you the Overlord's authority. So when you speak, it can go back to Kairos, which is kind of very interesting. So you are speaking with the Overlord's power. Which is, I find fascinating.
That's really cool. Fisher, I only saw the one time. You may have mentioned it more than one. Maybe they mentioned it twice, but I only saw the one time. So, okay. All right, good. So we pissed the Scarlet Chorus off, but who cares? All right, a red anvil, a forge-bound mage swore allegiance to the Scarlet Chorus, creating strife between the armies. Or, who protected the city from the attacks of arcane predators? Let's see. I don't want to
probably right. Maybe just with skimming over it too quickly.
Let's see.
Tip over.
All right, I'm going to go with ancient threats because I don't want to get more into a battle with the Scarlet Core. I mean, I don't need to, I've already made my point. Drawn to the arcane energy.
Wait till they make the point back to you.
I know, it'll come back to me. Drawn to the arcane energy around the forges, mystical predators from the nearby old walls began to raid Lethian's crossing at all hours. Both of Kairos' armies reserved their strength for the front lines of the war, and yet the city required protection. You had to delegate the responsibility somewhere. So I could really screw over the Scarlet Chorus. Oh, man. All right. The thing is, if I don't trust the Scarlet Chorus. I'm sorry. I'm going to choose the disfavored. See, what I don't understand about this is that I assume the symbol is like what that sort of like proves that you're demonstrating allegiance to that group. But the thing is, like, so disfavored allegiance would say choose the Scarlet Chorus. But oh, I see. Because the city require. Oh. Yeah, but is the Scarlet Chorus going to be able to protect them?
Decisions.
You better not screw this up, Scarlet Chorus. As the largest army, you tasked the Scarlet Chorus with the burden of security. The disfavored took the opportunity to gather their strength. At your command, the Scarlet Chorus flooded the streets of Lethian's Crossing. Infighting and competition among the unruly gangs made for disorganized patrols and distracted lookouts. However, when an ominous tide of Old Wall's predators assaulted the city in previously unseen numbers, it took the full force of the Scarlet Chorus to repel the attack. Tragedy struck when a mercenary hired by the Voices of Nerat, and I'll get to that in a second, injured a forge-bound artisan, leaving him unable to practice his craft. All right, well, let's talk about this Voices of Nerat. Known in his official capacity as the Archon of Secrets, the Voices of Nerat is equal parts genius and madman. Rumors abound that he can steal the minds of others, though few, if any, are able to confirm as much. The subjects of his interrogation are never heard from again, and the Archon is able to recall the memories of his victims with startling accuracy. He is the inconsistent leader of the Scarlet Chorus, vacillating between commanding from the vanguard and directing his armies in absentia. Despite his strange methods, no one doubts that the Voices of Nerat is an accomplished strategist, even suggesting that his madness stems from thinking hundreds, perhaps thousands of steps ahead of his enemies. Okay. And Forgebound is the other thing. The Forgebound are mage-smiths sworn to Kairos' service, though their operations in the tiers are overseen by Tunin and his court of Fatebinders. Each Forgebound uses magic as a tool to augment their personal craft, most commonly smelting and metalworking, but carpenters, tailors, and tanners are found in the ranks, and each mage strives to create that which is impossible with mundane hands. Most notably, the Forgebound are the sole masters of ironworking in the known world. Using spells of fire resistance to wade into the forge fires, the Forgebound can work iron at temperatures no other forge can match, and with a hands-on touch that no mundane smith could hope to achieve. Because of this vital skill, the Forgebound are considered a strategic war asset, their lives regimented and controlled so that the forges may churn out iron arms and armor without debate, delay, or distraction. Did you have a chance to write anything about the Forgebound?
Actually, no. The funny part was I got the list of here's what we want as priorities, and there were a couple of secondaries, and interestingly enough, the Forgebound weren't on the list, which I think is kind of surprising. So I didn't tackle them because it wasn't a priority for me, and I had very little time to write this book.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Uptime, by the way, guys, is 57 minutes. So that's somehow counting the Stardew Valley thing. I've only been on for not quite an hour. And in about 3 minutes, by the way, we'll do our first giveaway. I am Marvin Elleron. This is episode 55 of Pen and Pixels on GOG.com. We are doing an exclusive pre-release look at Tyranny, and I say exclusive because my guest is exclusive to my streams here, and it is John Helfers, who is the author of the guidebook for this game, which is really, really sounding cooler and cooler and cooler as I play it. And so that is the deal with that. Also, besides the giveaway, we'll do a couple of these giveaways. The giveaway is not a copy of the game. It is instead a copy of a couple of the books that are sort of inspirations for John in part, and they are real-life actual paper books. So we will do those as raffles at the top of each hour. So we'll do one in a couple of minutes, and in another half hour or so, I will open up things for questions to John, because by that time we'll be done with this. So. You fool nobody.
By the way,
with your lies.
I should probably leap in here, Greg, and say that my comments and opinions are solely mine, and I do not represent either Paradox or Obsidian. Both great companies, great to work with, but I am a complete freelancer. They contracted me for this particular task, this project, which I was happy to jump on board. But at no time should anything I say be construed to represent any position or point for Paradox or Obsidian themselves. So
yes.
I feel it's important to get that out there.
And even if that were not true, he could not tell you any different because he has been... No, I'm just kidding. All right, well, I will choose the disfavored because the Scarlet Chorus already did their job as, minions taking care of the riotous mob.
Pyro, the art is just amazing.
I love the art. It reminds me, I was trying to remember what it reminds me of. A little bit of Dark Tower-ish art, actually, the old game Dark Tower, but not quite, though. The cards actually remind me a little bit, too, of Dragon Age Inquisition a bit, too. The disfavored placed a modest garrison in the settlement of Lethian's Crossing. Though the force was larger than might be needed to police the small settlement, protecting the forge-bound ironsmiths became the true agenda of the defense force, as these magical craftsmen kept the disfavored invasion force suited in iron. Relieved at the departure of the Scarlet Chorus, the citizens of Lethian's Crossing felt they got the least of two burdens. You received word from Graven Ash thanking you for your decision. The forge-bound and their weaponry could not be entrusted to the Voices of Nerat. No problem, I got that covered, so... let's see.
Barossa, my bookshelves, this is my office. My bookshelves are all in my living room, so unfortunately I don't have them in the backdrop. If I could take my computer, which is all of 30 pounds, I'd show you the let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in my living room, but unfortunately I can't.
Exactly. Gray, I actually don't think so. Yeah, exactly. Everyone heard it. John is the official spokesperson for Paradox and Obsidian. He speaks to them 100%. Right. No, that is not what he said.
Thanks, Kilobyte. Thank you very much. I really appreciate
Kilobyte. So, Gray, I don't actually think it will. I think the character creation, if anything, will bring casual players in because it's not number dominated. I mean, there's not just reading through countless things, and I mean, I'm sure there'll be some min-maxing because everyone always min-maxes it. Many people try to min-max RPGs, but it feels to me that a story-driven thing like this is less likely to push away casual players. I mean, there's players who don't like RPGs, but...
And besides, you're already playing. You're making decisions that are going to impact the game down the road. So after 10 minutes of picking your banners and your voice and your beard and all this stuff, you're playing the game right now.
That's it. Okay. So can I ask one of the mods, please? Can I ask one of the mods, any one of you wonderful people, mods who are super awesome people, can I ask one of you guys to run a raffle, please? Can you open a raffle? When we open a raffle, the winner of this raffle will have a copy of this book. And which book first, John? Are you giving away?
We can look. I can give away one book. I can give away a pair of them at a time, however you want.
We're going to do 3 giveaways. So do you want to do 2 each?
Then let's do. I'll give 2 each. Yeah, so you're going to get both anthologies.
Okay, so the anthologies are, again...
All right, so the one is Villains Victorious. So this takes kind of famous characters from history and literature and tells kind of untold stories of them. I think we have Captain Hook. It's been a while since I edited this, so you have to forgive me. I don't remember quite everyone in here. I mean, they had to be public domain because you can't, of course, use other people's work. But it was let's see, Hook and just other people. I'm sorry, these are Sherlock Holmes Moriarty. There's a story for that here. The Truth About Santa. And it did some original stories about people creating their own villains as well. So that was a lot of fun to do. This one, In the Shadow of Evil, might as well be called almost technically the Tyranny Anthology, because these are all stories set in worlds where evil has won. And what does good do now? So this one I'm really proud of. It was a great idea. I'm so glad that Daw picked it up, and I had a lot of fun doing this one. Jody Lynn Nye, Greg Benford, Michelle West, Tanya Huff, Rick Hodela, Julie Trinata, Jane Lynn School, just some great stories in here about evil, what happens when good is the underdog, basically. So those are the 2 anthologies. They are real books, real pages. We'll mail them to you, whoever wins the raffle. And good luck, everybody.
Varaxa says you have only 2 books, no bookcases confirmed. No, I swear. Okay. While they're doing that, so there they all. As you guys are adding in the raffle, let's keep going here. With the mercenaries expelled and Lethians crossing under new leadership, Kairos' forces congratulated themselves on bringing order to the settlement, by which they mean they congratulated me, because I did it, and guaranteed a protective flow of resources. Over the course of this diversion, the army front advanced further into the tiers. Your skills were needed in the realm of Azure, Stalwart, or the Vellum Citadel. What is the Vellum Citadel? Vellum Citadel was a library fortress, the largest archive of the written world in the tiers. The School of Ink and Quill protected and maintained the archive of ancient lore for centuries, standing apart from the political upheavals of the younger realms as an enduring pillar of knowledge and culture. Okay, that pretty much is likely what I have to do. Stalwart, no. Azure, no. Vellum Citadel. Its treasures, its knowledge. Yeah, hell yeah. We're going to a library, people. We're going to the library. That's what we're doing.
By the way, for those who like the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, each of them, there's a lot about them in the guidebook, including the history of Graven Ash, for example.
Don't agree, Keg, because remember, streaming is always going to take 3 to 4 times as long as playing. Remember that I'm stopping to, first of all, read out everything out loud. I'm also talking to John at the same time. We're answering questions. We're running raffles. So I don't agree with you at all. I actually think that this is going extraordinarily fast for character creation that you don't have to kind of like spend a million hours min-maxing. I don't know. I don't agree.
Greg, before we go any further, can I answer that question about fiction in the world that we had from about 30 minutes ago? Unfortunately, and this is disappointing to me as well, to be quite honest, the short answer is I don't know. I know there are short stories that have been written on the Tyranny blog that people have done, that game developers have done to expand their kind of knowledge of their characters, and so you can catch up some short fiction. Me personally, as a reader and player, I would hope they'd be looking into that, but unfortunately, I don't have any information on whether that's a possibility. So, alas, my answer for all that fun enough was I have no idea. Sorry.
Do not know. Okay,
Yeah.
the Vellum Citadel. So we'll do this raffle for another minute or so, and then we'll give the stuff away. The Vellum Citadel was an archive and library of massive scale. Its inhabitants were known as the School of Ink and Quill, a circle of mages that centuries ago carved out their own mountainous refuge on lands unsettled by the other major realms. Legends said that the Citadel housed a treasure trove of arcane knowledge. That's correct, Zator. All of this is the character creation, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's like, it's pretty much a transition into the game. So, legend said that the Citadel housed a treasure trove of arcane knowledge. The Overlord's spies infiltrated the school and confirmed as much. The time was ripe to send a detachment to the Great Library Fortress and force the Scars to yield to Kairos because, as John well knows, the place you want to go after first are the freaking university professors. You cannot trust those people. Scholars are not to be trusted. And
Exactly.
I mean, really, like, those guys are they just sit there and kind of get fed
Arv
grapes.
knows exactly what he talks of.
I'll tell you what, man. All right, what do we got? We got Song of Ensnarement. Siren's song ensnared some stealthy sages, or Chain of Command.
So I'm curious, as other people who have said, why does no one go for Azure? Have you seen other streams of play? I have to ask this question now. I mean, I know we're doing this one with Arv right now, but apparently other people have gotten previews, and
there's a couple of little ones, but
there's a couple of small ones. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, and also, and there is one going on now at Hyper RPG. I think Obsidian may have done one. There were a couple of little like pre-streams here and there, but there haven't been, as far as I know, a billion of them.
Right. Thank you,
certainly not as cool. Certainly not with
GOG's
GOG's chat, which is the best. I mean, let's be clear. You know, like that's the key. All right, let's go with Song of Ensnarement.
Yes, damn those stupid intelligent people.
Syra, an Archon of Song, used her power to enthrall enemy mages who crept beyond the Citadel walls. After Kairos' forces rounded up the arcane practitioners, the disfavored began executing the new captives before they could share dangerous knowledge, a crime under Kairos law with the Scarlet Chorus. Muzzle the mages or punish the disfavored.
Well, he's thinking, Zaitor, no, there is, other than a handful of short stories, and again, you can find that on the Tyranny blog, there is no other existing, certainly not in long-form fiction about this world, even though I think you can all agree it's deep enough to support that if, you know, someone felt the need.
That's correct, Fogelund. Yeah, just ended today.
But nothing yet, exactly.
Okay, so last decision I'll make, and then we'll actually close down the raffle. Actually, let's do that now, actually, before I go on. So, Sharian, would you mind closing the raffle, and let's pick a winner? Let us pick a winner. What shall the winner be? Who will win a copy of these two awesome books? And then what you can do, John, is you can probably just message them directly, like they can message you, can they? Like in Twitch, and send you, like, address?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Do that. I'm on, so it shouldn't be a problem. Exactly, that's going to be easier.
And the winner is Magmal. Congratulations, Magmal. Magmal
Awesome.
is the winner. Magmal, we need to hear from you, Magmal. Can you announce your presence, Magmal? Magmal is the winner. And let's just make sure Magmal is here. Magmal.
When I
Show yourself, Magmal. Mag. Magmal. Where we got? Magmal? Where are you, Magmal? Let me see it. There's a lot of congratulations for Magmal, but there's no Magmal. Yes, there he is. Yes, you actually won. Or she. There you go. So, you actually won. So, Magmal, what I would like you to do, please, is I would like you to, John, if you could just type something in chat. There you go. He just did.
I just did.
Radio Johnny Panda, for reasons I won't get into, is John's actual Twitch name. So if you click on John's name and send him a Twitch PM with your address, he will send you, you guys can work out him sending you a copy of the two books from his home base. Where he has many, many thousands of books, despite what.
Despite I just can't show people. That's the problem. But they do exist. I promise you, they exist. Yes.
They do exist. So please make sure to write to Radio Johnny Panda. Chat. We will do a second one of these at the top of the second hour of Pen and Pixels at 5 o'clock. It's at 5 o'clock now. So at 6 p.m. Eastern, we'll do a second one of these. Also, we will do a giveaway. Thank you, Sharian, by the way, for running the raffle. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
And
Absolutely.
questions will be coming up. Questions will be coming up in about 20, 25 minutes or so. So, I don't know, man. I'm not in favor of executing the captives before sharing dangerous knowledge. I'm going to punish the disfavored here. This is too far. You punish the disfavored for executing mages bound to the Scarlet Chorus, ordering that several disfavored soldiers be given to the Archon of Song as her personal bodyguards. The other reason that's good is it makes... See, she was pissed at me before, but now she's not as much. Now she's like, okay, I'm even Steven, man. I play it right down the middle. as long as the disfavored win. The wisdom of the sages.
Even though you're punishing them right now, which is interesting.
Exactly. That's true, Pyro. There are a lot of EU folks here. Are you okay with that, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
All right.
It's whoever's in the stream. If you win, we'll work it out. Exactly.
The wisdom of the sages and knowledge of the Vellum Citadel were too important to silence. The disfavored balked at entering the Archon's service, but your ruling left them with no recourse. Archon's Siren delighted in having new toys to play with, and promptly enthralled her personal guard. You spotted them in camp days later, following their new mistress with wide-eyed devotion. Sorry, guys. You gotta behave. All right. What do we got here? Suspicions arose when sages surrendered, Spymaster's agents, or right of command. Siren composed songs of strength and provoked bloody slaughter. No. We're going to go with the Spymaster's agents. All right. A group of enemy mages surrendered to the disfavored, claiming to be spies loyal to the voices of Nerat. No one in the army could verify the claim. The disfavored ready to interrogate the mages, but the Scarlet Chorus protested, demanding the prisoners be given to their custody. They couldn't risk the voices of Nerat's secrets falling into the wrong hands. Pfft, no thank you. I want the secrets falling into my hands. Do it up, disfavored. Though it meant arguing the Scarlet Chorus, that's my theory, Sharian, although I don't know whether he can do anything against Siren's power, because it sounds like she could control them.
She's got some incredible ability.
Does she? All right, so yeah. Though it meant angering the Scarlet Chorus, the mages were disfavored property. They remained in custody while you reviewed their claims. You took time poring over the mages' confiscated documents. Finding no blatant messages to the voices of Nerat or anyone else, you resolved to question the mages yourself. When you reached their cells, you discovered the bodies, each of them slaughtered in a grisly display. What? Tense discussion and accusations followed, but with no evidence to suggest a responsible party, you were forced to let the matter drop. That is garbage. I want to find a full investigation. Oh my god. The Edict of Fire. Food and morale dwindled as the siege party realized the enemy would win this war of attrition. Tunin sent word that Kairos' patience had run thin. The Overlord would cast an Edict of Fire on the enemy. Kairos' most powerful magic is that of the Edict, commandments cast upon whole regions that can control and destroy man and nature alike. Oh, damn. Once cast, an edict can rain fire. You were just asking about whether these powers involve the powers of supreme hotness?
I was just
Here
going to
you go.
that.
Once cast, an edict can rain fire, wither crops, demoralize cities, usher an endless night, or do whatever it is that Kairos envisioned. No known force, magical or mundane, can stop an edict, though each edict is often worded to include some condition or contingency that will see its end. Some edicts have been short-lived, delivering days of wanton catastrophe, just as many have lingered for centuries. Wow. Guy is a badass.
Barzak's got the right idea. By the way, at some point you will encounter a location called the Blade Grave, which is one of the results, even bigger than the Citadel. What you're just seeing here is a result of a nationwide edict being read, and it's unreal.
It's no joke, huh? All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Shinros,
you brought up an interesting question. Disfavored don't like mages all that much. Well, there's an in-game issue as to why that is. They have them. They do have them. It's a little subset, but there was some issues, and there's let's put it there. They're not on very good speaking terms as soldiers and the mages, but I won't get into further because I believe that's part of the in-game stuff that you're going to get into later.
Okay. Let's see. The parchment arrived in a slender case of engraved iron. Written on it the words of a spell powerful enough to destroy the Vellum Citadel. You had the choice of when to read the edict. Reading it at sunrise would offer your enemies no warning of the devastation to come. You could also wait until sunset, giving them ample time to flee or make amends. Now, this one I'm going to give a warning. And the reason is that I want them as allies later. Claiming they still had spies within the Citadel, the Scarlet Chorus urged you to warn the mages of the Overlord's edict. Granting their request, you met with the enemy under a blue flag of peace and warned them of their doom, giving the Chorus spies and the enemy a chance to run. You confronted the mages with a warning and hoped the message was received. The hour before sunset, numerous figures were spotted fleeing the Citadel. As the sun dipped under the horizon, you read the words of the edict. The earth shook and red-orange light glowed in the foundation of the sprawling Citadel. What's up, Prixina? Bubbling up from under the library, a torrent of lava heaved with explosive force, gushing from windows and between loose bricks, melting winding trenches in the surrounding land. Days later, the flames still raged on, the conflagration continually fed and renewed by the power of the edict. Well, damn.
Yeah, not going to get those for allies. Sorry, Arv.
Well, listen, some of them may remember. So later on, maybe they'll be like, I remember you saved us. You know?
You're assuming there was someone. Oh yeah, that's true. Some of them were fleeing. That's a good point.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're leaving.
Yeah, Shinros, you are noticing the trend where one side has a very different take on mages versus the other. That is correct.
I destroyed a library, EA, but I saved the librarians, and that, sir, is the true goodness. The armies of Kairos left the devastation of the Vellum Citadel in silence. From that day forward, the Tears came to know the once noble citadel as the Burning Library. Previously known as the Vellum Citadel, the archive and ancestral home of the sages is now the site of a volcanic crater. Eruptions of lava began during the conquest of the Tears after Kairos' forces failed to claim the library in the Overlord's name. Kairos cast an edict of fire to break the siege and rid the world of the forbidden knowledge stored there. The citadel has been a smoldering ruin ever since. Well, damn. Let's see. This was an undisputed loss of resources, knowledge, culture, and life. But a message had been sent. The Overlord will not tolerate defiance. You didn't have long to rest before Tunin called you into service once more. You were one of the last to depart from mountains, and as you journeyed off, you spotted a few campfires in the mountains. They were mere specks dwarfed by the inferno, the last gasps of survivors, or perhaps looters from Kairos' armies bored and daring enough to pick through the ashes. This is just like the end of Fahrenheit 451. They all remembered their books, and, they will keep it, and they will rebuild. They have the technology. Yeah, that's right.
By the way, I've also forgot to mention, one of the commentators in the guidebook is actually who Kairos or the Overlords would consider an enemy of the state. And her name is Ebb, and she is what's called a tidecaster. And in order to make her words work in the context of the guidebook, I had Lantry find a diary of hers at one of her locations, and he's cut and pasted excerpts from her own writings where appropriate. So that was a lot of fun doing too. So we actually did someone from the other side.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
What the largest.
Here we go. Okay.
Okay, here we go. You've reached the end of Kairos' conquest. Do you want to continue? Yeah, I'm fairly happy with this. Okay. You fail. You don't. Okay, no. Here we go. Wow. The funny thing is, I mean, again, I'm just thinking about how much attention was paid to Pillars of Eternity, how much attention was paid to some of these other games. I feel like the art, the music and everything, very polished, very clean, and there wasn't nearly as much info out there about that. This particular game is about other things, and I'm really struck by that.
Yeah.
Kid replayed a troll chat. As long as the young adult fiction was saved in the library, literature is saved. Really, Pyro? Is that literature lasts in YA? Is that what it is?
Nothing wrong with YA.
I gotcha.
Brings readers in. All right.
What's up, G Pudding? So far, I'm impressed. I mean, I haven't even gotten into the game itself, although I think we're finally getting to that part. So, John, you said you had access to the dev notes and things like that. Were there things that, as you were going along, you don't have to talk about the details, but things they changed that meant that you had to sort of alter what you had been planning? Like, did you have a thought, I'm going to write this?
Yes.
Yeah?
No, by all means. There were, and this is the funny part of working with
the year is 431.
The developers as
hold on. Sorry, John.
Voiceover.
I'll get back to you.
All major opposition in the tiers. The Younger Realms, the Bastard Tier, the Free Cities. All who defied Kairos lay broken by battle or bowed in surrender. The two armies of the Overlord, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, now control our lands.
Okay, so now I have a chance to pause. So go ahead. I'm sorry, John. I just didn't want to speak over the voiceover. So keep going.
No, exactly. So, hold on a second. I'm Magmal is in the Czech Republic, so I'm just finishing up with his information. Cool. So yes, I actually did on my first pass through the list of things they wanted me to do. It turned out on the second one, there were many things like, well, this character's not going to appear anymore. Well, this location doesn't exist anymore. Like, crud. So some of my work had to get revised because those locations did not appear in the game. So it was a constant balancing act of what is vital and what is not. And every iteration, I would get feedback on, this is here, this is not here. We have to add this. We added one of the characters, his name's Kills in Shadow, is a beast man or beast person. And I don't know when you're going to encounter her, but I had to add, like, for example, an entry on the Beastman because I felt that should be in there. I thought it was important as one of the non-human race in the game. I thought that was important to have that in there. So there was a lot of give and take, and it did evolve quite substantially from my first draft. I think I'm on draft 4 now.
In the valley,
so pause for 1 sec. New voiceover.
Those
sorry.
Those of us unwilling to bow to Kairos have banded together in defiance. Violating an oath of surrender from 2 years prior, we have staged a bloody uprising, murdering the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus garrison in a midnight assault.
Oh, damn, a midnight assault. Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead, John.
Spear through the head. Oh, I was pretty much wrapped up, but it was very much in terms of like one of the things I'm about to start on is writing a science fiction novel in an already set world where I have more freedom to create, like, I want to do this plot with this alien race and this planet over here.
Yeah.
This one, because of the guidebook and what they wanted to accomplish, was fairly straightforward, and it was like I was given, here's the pieces, put these together in a way that makes sense for us, and then add like the depth and, like I said, the comments from different characters that give you more depth to the world and all that. So it was an interesting, a wonderful experience, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Like I said, I just hope it comes through for the readers, for those people who pick up the guidebook.
The other thing I have to say about that, by the way, is that as some of you may know, obviously people who watch this show regularly know that my graphic novel Icarus came out earlier, the first book in a series, and John actually did a short story for me that was set in that universe. And one of the interesting things is laying out the parameters and then seeing how those parameters operate, and working within them, which is true if you're writing for a themed anthology, with which both John and I have done many times, or especially John has done many times and I have done before several times, or whether it's talking about in a sort of larger universe, as I've had to do a little bit of with Greyshade in the Storm Talons world. That is always interesting in that you're really going deeper than other aspects of the lore demonstrate. So you're diving below the surface, which means there are limits and there's restrictions, but there's also the opportunity to sort of build and create a foundation, and develop a foundation that isn't there before, right? Like, I mean, they give you the basics, but then you're really giving the filler that they did not do, right? That's
exactly,
left with you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's correct. I would say that's absolutely correct. And one of the things I did, just since you opened the door, Arv, I'll walk through that one. One of the things creating in your world for Icarus was to delve into something and build a little on that world that you'd created. And it was a lot of fun to play in that universe, and I had a very good time doing so.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, you did a very good job with it. So yes, Geister, this is the world creation narrative. Again, for everybody who's coming in right now, first of all, we got a great turnout tonight, so thank you all so much for being here. This is an exclusive look, and I say exclusive because of my guest who's exclusive, at Tyranny. I want to thank Paradox and Obsidian for giving me a review copy of the game. I want to thank Outstar Walker for putting me on that list to begin with. I want to thank the stream team for being kind enough to let me stream this game because I'm excited about it. And I want to thank John Helfers for being with me. John is the author of the guidebook for this game. And since this is a show based on story and narrative, it seems quite appropriate. I am really, really, really digging story-based character creation. Like, this turns my crank. I like it quite a bit. So I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. At the bottom of the hour, about 10-15 minutes, I'll open it up to questions from chat. And then at the top of the hour, the top of hour 2, we will do another giveaway of a couple of anthologies that are tied into the theme of this book. They're not Tyranny specific, but they're related to the theme. So I
actually have a question for chat, Art, if I can jump in here real quick. Now that you guys have seen character creation, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. I mean, some people have thought it was a little long. I, for one, found it incredibly interesting about taking you through the kind of like that little mini campaign. So I'm curious about what you guys thought of it and whether it was something. Obviously, Swordmaster is totally geeking out over the whole thing, so I think he's going to pick it up at some point. But I'm curious about other thoughts. Whether you thought, was this a good thing? Was it different from what you saw? Was it intriguing? Was it not so interesting? And I'm just kind of curious about what chat thinks about it.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. By the way, Smitten Like a Kid, and welcome in. And thank you, Smitten. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you guys are liking it so far. I'm digging it as well. Bumps a bum. We're not going to do that. And calm down or you can leave. That's not how we do things here. So you don't scream at people in chat. And this is not your personal entertainment system, okay? We're playing as a community and enjoying this process. So you can either like it or you can leave. So let's continue with this then as we go on.
With their main forces spread across the
tiers, Varsek, that's what I thought too. It was snappy and moved along, and yet, like you said, these choices are going to come back, hopefully in a good way, but some ways in a bad way. And I love how they thrust you into the world. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
As disagreement and discord paralyze the Archons, we bide our time and wait for our message of insurrection to spread across the tiers.
Sorry, on you go. You can continue if you want, John.
Oh, okay. And I like that they thrust you into the game world and you're making decisions that impact things that happen right away. I thought that was an awesome idea to kind of bridge the gap between, oh, you're a character walking around. Oh, no, we have this little thing to run you through. And by the way, this introduces you to some of the power players, the factions, and some locations, so you're already kind of familiar. I think it's one of the best tutorial/mini games that I've ever seen. to be quite honest.
And I think, didn't Dragon Age Inquisition do something like this, I want to say? Does chat know? I think there was Dragon Age Inquisition. I heard someone mention King of Dragon Pass. I saw someone mention Burning Wheel. I thought about those too. But I thought that maybe Dragon Age Inquisition did something similar to this. The sort of off the beaten path thing, the Ultima games, you always define things based on cards that you received. There's a little bit of that too with Curse of Strahd, with the Ravenloft games. But yeah, so... is it Dragon Age that I'm thinking about?
Pyro,
yes,
that would have been a really good idea. That would have been fascinating.
That is a cool idea. There is a link, actually, now that I think of it, in Dragon Age between Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition. There was that web-based thing where you could like develop your character, and I think it would carry stuff across, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure. I just don't remember if it was Dragon Age Inquisition that did it. But anyway. Dragon Age Keep, that's right, the Dragon Age Keep website. That's reminding me a little bit of that. Yeah, that's right, beautiful Baronatutu, right. I'm thinking about Dragon Age Keep. Okay, on we go with this voiceover.
The Overlord is not amused, and Kairos has one message for the Archons. Crush the Oathbreakers, or die. Kairos backs this threat with an edict, a magical commandment that can slay all in the valley should the order be ignored. The honor of proclaiming this edict fell to you. Sent across the mountains to Vendrian's Well, you carry the Overlord's edict to read before the Archons.
Okay, yeah, it's the Keep I'm thinking of then.
As you finally make your way through the winding mountain passes into the valley, the ground trembles, and Kairos' magic seals the way behind you.
Well, crap.
You are trapped in Vendrian's Well, with Kairos' armies and the Oathbreakers. The only way to survive is to fulfill the terms of the Overlord's edict in any way that you can.
Okay. No, I believe we're not allowed to stream past Vendrian's Well, but I don't think we're past it. I think we're just going into it now. Right, John?
As to the best of my knowledge, yes. I believe that's where you're starting.
Whoa, look at that.
Trapped Vendrian's Well with Kairos' army. Yeah, okay.
Here we go. Welcome to Taratus. Is it Taratus? Taratus?
I pronounce it Taratus.
Taratus. If this is your first visit to the world of Tyranny, watch for these windows. Okay, I will do that. What do we got? Characters. Most people you encounter in the world are neutral or friendly. You can interact with them by clicking on their selection circle. Okay. And movement and controls. Click anywhere in the screen where your cursor is a circle of 4 wedges. If you see a red circle, you can't walk on that part of the map. Pause the game at any time by pressing spacebar on your keyboard. Okay, that's all very simple. View and manage your character's inventory, attributes, and talents using the buttons on the navigation bar at the top of the screen, or by pressing the hotkey associated with the various interfaces. Look at that. Freaking the lava coming out of the eye. Man. Press escape at any time to save the game, load a save game, or exit Tyranny. Okay. So, let's see. So this is, you can zoom out fairly far. You can zoom in. And what do we got? We've got journal. Okay, so Kairos demands victory at Vendrian's Well. As a Fatebinder of Tunan, you are tasked with delivering Kairos' edict to the Archons of the Disfavored in the Scarlet Chorus. They must defeat the rebellious Vendrian Guard soon, or everyone in the valley, allies and enemies alike, will die. Travel to the Disfavored camp. Make your way southeast through Edgering Fort and travel to the Disfavored camp, where Graven Ash and the Voices of Nerat are meeting to discuss their strategy. Okay. And then... Wow. Okay, that is a long biography. Okay, and this shows all of the things that we just did. Okay, cool. So there's that. Oh my god, the encyclopedia. Okay, we don't need that for right now. Records. That shows you how long. 1 hour and 15 minutes to get to this point. And that was streaming. We've got tutorials.
Pyrofox edicts are created by the Overlord and then handed out. They're delivered by Archons or Fatebinders to be read. So, but the only one who can do them, who can make them right now, is Kairos.
Okay, so if Ascension Hall has not been taken by my forces before morning on the Day of Swords, all in the valley when this edict is passed will perish. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I got that next command. Man, I'm telling you what, man. Time zones. That is not true. ImmerSimp is not on for another hour and a half. So if someone could fix Moobot for me there, that would be awesome because reasons. Okay, so we got attributes, we got weapon skills, we got active effects. Okay. And then we've got talents. Oh, we got talent trees. Oh my god, we got talent trees. Look at this stuff. All right. Shield mastery increases defensive benefits from shield. Staggering force. I like that. Causes thrust to interrupt the target. Shield slam. Slam your shield against a target. That leads down to stance guard. Blade wall. Allows an additional enemy to engage at one time. Challenger. Taunts nearby enemies. All right. Cleave. Focused strike. Palm strike. Palm strike. Stance blitz. All right, well, what about leadership?
You know, Grace, to be quite honest, I don't know how long the game is supposed to take to play. I couldn't really tell you.
My understanding was that the game is not as long. It's somewhere in the order of, they said 20 to 25 hours, which means probably 40 hours in actuality because of the way I play. But Pillars of Eternity was much longer, and they said they did that on purpose because they wanted to encourage replayability. I don't know what I think about that because I so seldom replay a game when it's done because I'm like, I've done the story. But the story may be vastly different here, and if that's true, then that might change things. So,
right.
Okay, then we got range. We got throne mastery. Oh, that sounds pretty good. Magic prodigy. Blah 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 blah. Okay. All right. Cool. We've already seen the quests. No reputation available. Spell create. You can create spells. Spells are created using 2 or more sigils. The core sigil determines the type of magic, such as fire, frost, or illusion. The expression sigil determines how that core shapes itself into the world, such as a ball of fire, frost enchanting a weapon. Several categories of sigils that can accent a spell, granting a greater range, accuracy, or providing bonus secondary effects. To begin creating a spell, select the core sigil for the type of magic, followed by the expression sigil to determine what form the spell takes. To create a fireball spell, sigil of flame, and then the sigil directed force. Okay, so sigil of lightning, and then I will express it as sigil of focused intent. Zap, charge fist. Okay, so I can now do charge fist. And that's all I can do because that's all I can. That's cool though. Requires a certain amount of lore skill to learn and control. That's pretty awesome. Assign spells. Once you've created a spell, use the assign button to add that spell to one of your active party members. Okay, it's already with him, so you can assign a spell to more than one character. You can customize your spells by selecting different icons. Icons can help you differentiate your spells. Okay. Searing Palm. You can create a new name for your spells. That's sweet. Some accent sigils allow you to modify the area of effect or range of your spells. That feels very Pillars to me. The rune in the middle is a combination of the 2 runes used to create it. Yes, I see that. I see that. That's really cool. The core is a combination of that plus the expression. That's slick. Oh, that's cool. Wow. Neat. Okay. And then last but not least, a missive. And I don't have any missives, so that's good. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do here is, since John is able to be in chat, what I will do is I will ask some folks to bring up some questions for John that you guys can throw at him. Now, what I would like you guys to do, please don't do it right this second, listen first. I would like you to type in all capital letters, question, colon, and then what your question actually is. I'd like you to not ask 50 questions. I'd like you to ask 1, okay, so that we can get everyone with a chance to ask something. Please do not ask things like, hey, can I win the giveaway X, Y, and Z? Okay, let's please ask something specific to, John's experience in writing the guidebook, in the story, in the background, in the world. Also, there may be questions that John cannot contractually answer. So if that is the case, please understand that, and please do not be like, come on, tell me. And with that said, release the hounds. If you have questions, let's do it. Go ahead and ask questions with question, capital colon, and I am going to look, that looks like Pillars, at this, and then I'm going to talk to the person who's waving at me frantically. Path behind you is blocked. Kyros's magic has sealed the valley. All right, what's up with you? Kairos the conversations involve you and other character and additional parties like bystanders or companions. Characters' attributes, skills, histories, and gender, as well as decisions you made in the conquest, may all open up options in dialogue. Not necessarily superior, but give you a wider variety of choices to select from. Each character speaks to you will display a banner beneath their portrait. Banner indicates which faction the character is allied with. Okay, so this is disfavored. And you will often see the names of important characters and locations displayed in a gold text color. Cool, all right. Kairos the Overlord be praised. So first question, when does this game cross over with Shadowrun?
Well,
I feared the valley was sealed with you on the other side. Okay.
In the fourth world, no, it does not.
Okay.
That would be a heck of a mashup, though. I will say that.
Right, the governor of Lethian's Crossing. Right, because I did that. The commander wouldn't say why the governor of Lethian's Crossing would be coming, but since we have no forges here, I imagine you're here to knock some sense into the voices of Nerat. I mean, mediate with the Archons, though we might agree on a plan to wipe out these Oathbreakers. That's a good question from Gray. Could you give us book recommendations that seem close to Tyranny's universe?
Yes, and there's one I have to... Hold on a second. I need to open up a new window here real quick, so don't mind me. There was one I wanted to mention that I think... Well, someone had brought up Glenn Cook, first of all, and I think that's very, very close, absolutely. If you want to go more old school, I think a lot of this seems like a lot of Fritz Leiber's Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser series, which you'll have to go dig up some of those collections. I think Bane might have put some of those out. But that's all skullduggery and intrigue with rogues and barbarians and stuff like that. But let me go find... It's a series that the main character is like an accountant in a fantasy world, and I can't remember what it's called. Arv, maybe you can help me out on that.
An accountant in a fantasy world.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be really, really good. And to be fair, I haven't read it myself, but I just heard terrific things about it.
It may be one of those things you'll mention and I'll immediately know it. Again, Red Country and a lot of the Joe Abercrombie stuff is reminding me quite a bit about this. I'll come up to that question in just a sec, Toad Relish. That's a good question. And I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to be interested to see what he has to say.
There we go. It's The Traitor Beru Cormorant by Seth Dickinson.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, gosh. I forgot about that. Yeah, there was a lot of attention paid to that.
Yes. Huge. So I think that just off the description of it alone seems very much like this world, for sure.
Toad Relish asks, to what extent were you influenced by classic fantasy in your writing, or did you consciously avoid those tropes? Yes. And also, while we're on the subject, I'm going to combine it with Pyro's. Did you get any Mistborn vibes from the game's lore if you checked out Mistborn? I have. Yes, Pyro, good call. That is definitely a connection, for sure, for me, and I'll be curious to see what John thinks. But, yeah, what about the influences, John? Classic.
Well, as a writer, and I've written more than 25 novels, over 50 short stories. I've edited, like 30 anthologies. Absolutely, I draw from, like, for example, one of the things I want to mention about the artwork in this game, especially the card pictures, they seem to me to be drawn like a lot from classic Greek antiquity in a lot of ways. But I draw on, sure, like I just mentioned, Fritz Leiber, which if you guys don't know who he is, for gosh sakes, please go out and find his fiction and go read him because he was awesome. Yep. Some of the greatest sword and sorcery fantasy out there, but also other, high fantasy. He was just a master of it. Yep. And he was proficient in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, to be quite honest. So this is going back a ways. But yeah, I've read Zelazny, I've read Leiber, I've read Silverberg, all those guys. They do influence me because they can't help but not be influenced by the masters, and including modern ones like Sanderson, Martin, and others. And as an author, you read them and you pick up the tricks. You see how they did things. It's not, I want to enforce this it's not plagiarism. It's a masterclass in learning how to write. Yep. So yeah, but absolutely influenced by them for sure.
And one thing I want to mention, by the way, one on that subject, John has been a guest on the podcast I do called Speculate, which interviews a lot of the authors who have written stuff of this type, including and influenced by it. Like people like we had Brandon Sanderson on several times to talk about Mistborn, stuff like that. We've had Pat Rothfuss on and so forth. So a lot of those guys talk about their own influences and are in turn influences on this kind of work and are connected to it. The other thing about Leiber, of course, is also great at city development, and so dark fantasy. It was an influence on Greyshade also. So there's a couple of others too. Yes, Salvatore. It writes for D&D, as does Ed Greenwood.
Right.
Okay, let's see.
Pyro, I want to talk about the Mistborn thing.
Oh yeah, Mistborn. Yep.
The problem with doing all the work I do, I don't have a lot of time to read either for pleasure or for study anymore. From what I've seen of Brendan's work, yes, absolutely, there's Mistborn elements that kind of read into this for sure. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Definitely the case. Graerth asks one about, and you can make this one quick if you don't know, how many of the talents can one reasonably expect to get relative to the total?
Unfortunately, I don't. I want to bring up a point here that maybe I hate to sideline these game questions, but unfortunately, I'm not the person to talk about that. And here's why. And this ties into Zaitor's question next.
Okay.
yes, you can read the short stories, and you can read the guidebook before playing the game. I'll be honest with you, I'm seeing this. I went through this initial scene that Arb is playing right now, but because the guidebook was meant to be kind of an introduction, I haven't really played the game that much either because I didn't want to let my player knowledge spoil what I was writing about in the book. Because for the guidebook, the events in the game haven't happened yet. So we've been playing this, you'll see that while it mentions some things, Kairos is like ancient. No one knows how old the Overlord really is. So they've been around for centuries. And people refer to things in the past, like the conquering of the Northern Empire, which is mentioned in the guidebook. But I didn't want to play the game and potentially spoil elements that the players should experience in the guidebook. So, but by all means, they're all meant to work together. You can absolutely read them all before you start playing, and hopefully it lends to a more richer, immersive experience.
Raginator also asks, any chance that we'll see a spin-off of Tyranny that's basically a pen and paper RPG complete with hardcover player books, etc.?
Well, if this becomes a huge RPG and everyone goes crazy, who knows what Obsidian has planned. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't know what they have planned beyond this, so I can't really speak to that. Me personally, this is just me personally, again, not speaking for Paradox, not speaking for Obsidian, I myself would love to see fiction in this world. I myself would love to see RPG. I don't know if they ever have any plans for that, so unfortunately I can't say what the future holds for Tyranny. I just hope that you guys like it and it becomes really successful. I think they have a really good idea here, and I want to see it grow as big as it possibly can.
I want to point out, by the way, that I just answered that first question with lore and then got lore experience for that. And Aurora asks about senses. Your senses see more than mine, good Fatebinder. I'll get back to questions in one sec. I do not pretend to know much about such things, but if that was Kairos' magic and you're here on important business, well, you don't have to be the Archon of Secrets to guess that you're here to proclaim an edict. What does Kairos have in store for the enemy? 10 years of festering plague, an edict of twisted bones? How about I glare silently? A nervous smile creeps over as she waits for a response that doesn't arrive. I am asking questions beyond my station. She dips low, trembling as she bows. Forgiveness, please. Well, you've traveled a long way. I won't keep you further. I'm sure the Archons will want to hear from you. Did you hear that? More runners, third time this week. The Oathbreakers keep trying to send messengers through the mountains to gather help from outside the valley. But they're a bit too late for that now. Come, let's show these Oathbreakers a good fight. Oh, here comes combat. All right, we're going to check out combat, but first of all, I want to take care of this. The next questions. Question: are there monsters in this world, or will it be good old human-on-human violence? Are there monsters here?
There are. The biggest one that there is a small entry on in the guidebook, but I believe you will experience in the game, is called the Bane. And that's a very interesting one that I did not have a lot of data because, again, there's an entry on it that gives kind of the basics. And then as you go into the game, you experience more about it. One thing I wanted to mention, by the way, I found it, as you said, you are a Fatebinder in the world. You're not starting out as a, quote, level 1 character. You have, this soldier had to be obeisant to you because you outranked her automatically at the start of the game, which I thought was a fascinating concept, that you're not just, oh, I'm a line soldier. No, you actually have some authority in this game, which I think is very interesting.
That is pretty cool. Let's see. Varsk asked, is the story ever pitch you against a very binary choice, or is it always pure gray? Does that get a bit much at times? That is a concern, Varsk, that I have in general about games like this, because I generally do not like pure moral gray fiction, like nothing but moral gray. I don't particularly care for that. However, if the game is set up in a particular way, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be looking to see what I can do to sort of carve out my own path, in which partly might mean defiance. My understanding is that it's very difficult not to go down the path of evil, but I don't think it's always just, you could hurt this person, but then that will make 5 other people possibly be harmed. Like, it's not that muddy, it seems to me, but from what I've been able to tell and glean. But I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, John.
It's funny that you mentioned the whole defiance aspect of it. I know there's, to a certain extent, a lot of life is shades of gray. So to me, it's funny that we kind of have a different opinion of this, Arv. I don't mind it so much because I feel that's more true to life, not that games need to be. We're not going to get into the complex, philosophy of gaming and all that stuff. But I actually myself like it when there are side effects to decisions.
Yes.
Where decisions have consequences.
Agreed.
Some are good, some are bad, some are in the middle. That's the game that really gets me intrigued, which is this whole concept of, well, how evil are you? How evil are you in the big skein of things? That's what I find fascinating about exploring this dilemma, because let's face it, you're a Fatebinder, in service to a potentially immortal overlord, and you're in service to what people would consider evil. Now, and the funny part is, I had Lantry wrote an introduction to the book and what Kairos's goals are, which is to bring stability to the world. Now, that stability comes at a cost. You swear loyalty to the Overlord, but it's still stability. So there's that. It's like, well, is that stability like the Empire? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I mean, typically most people say it's bad, but if your life is elevated and you're a peasant, is that a good thing? It's those kind of shades of gray I love exploring, which is why I think this is a really good game to do it in, a really good venue, basically.
Awesome. By the way, I just wrecked that guy with my heart shot.
Nice.
All of your character's abilities and spells are accessed by selecting the category icon at the bottom of the selected frame. Abilities are grouped into talent spells, combo abilities, artifact abilities, reputation abilities, and stances. Category icons for weapon sets and quick items follow. To use an ability, left-click on it, press the hotkey corresponding to its location on the ability bar. And then, so the thing I want to point out about this, and there's 5 primary defenses against attack: parry, dodge, endurance, will, and magic, based on the character's attributes, equipped items, and other effects. 4 possible results from any attack: hit, critical hit, graze, and miss. Critical hit increases your damage, graze reduces it, and with each attack you gain experience in the weapon skill used to make the attack. Even a miss will grant some experience. One thing I want to point out to chat is that, so here's all the icons down here, right? When you hover over them, you immediately see the sort of the area effect of it. So I knew that if I got close enough, this heart shot, he would have range to be able to get into it. And so I think that's really awesome. Like, I love the idea that you don't even have to select it. You can actually hover over it, and then you can actually see, if you leave it hovered for just a moment, what the effect of it will be as well, which is cool. Beautiful Bear asks, keeping in mind you were very pressed for time, what kind of research did you do for the guidebook outside of in-game material? Did you look into some of the real-world inspirations for Tyranny, especially real Bronze Age, early Iron Age cultures?
That's an awesome question. I wish I could answer it yes, but the designers pretty much had the world fleshed out the way they wanted to go, and they were it wasn't strict in a bad way, but they had very clear ideas, like, do we want this to be this, not this, this is like this. You know, it was funny, in an early iteration they were kind of strict about there's no, you know, kind of vices in terms of alcohol or like tobacco, and in the later one they actually relaxed on that a little bit, which I found was fascinating. But they had a clear picture. This is late Bronze Age, early Iron Age technology level. But they set the parameters for me. So on one hand, it was good. I didn't have to do that research, and it was kind of done for me. On the other hand, it's like, well, I couldn't really go off into my own, kind of bring my own take on it, but that wasn't really what my job was in the first place. So I was pretty comfortable. It actually, having the parameters defined for me actually made the project a lot easier to execute in the first place. So, yeah, Kilobyte, you're killing me here. Zaitor asks, how does Obsidian find the time to make all these heavy lore text RPGs? You know what? I can't speak for them again, but I think it's because they just bring really good people to the table. I mean, I was impressed by the way, and I didn't dive into it, but when I was seeing like kind of the chains of this thing's going, and they were like machines, like click it off, this is done, this plot line is done, this storyline is done. They were just, I think it's really, they know how to aggregate the talent to put a team together that can make a game like this. And as far as I know, Tyranny, there wasn't a really long program line to get it up and running, I don't believe. Because if you go back to the blog dates, those are maybe 8 months ago, 9 months ago, and they're, you know, it launches in 2 days. So it's just, it's identifying the talent you want to work with and giving them the freedom to do what they want to do. So that's a total guess on my part. You need to talk to someone in game development.
Well, I'll tell you what else about that, by the way. If I may, I want to say one other thing about that. You know, Obsidian, when they were working on Pillars of Eternity, which was obviously this big sort of return to form, Obsidian, there was a point where Obsidian almost went bankrupt. There was a point where Obsidian had gone very far down that path, but they made a lot of very, very smart decisions. They have a lot of smart people at the head of it. I have personally interviewed Josh Sawyer about Pillars of Eternity last year, and they're smart people to work over there, as John says, and I think one of the things they did was, some companies say they're going to do this, but Obsidian actually did grab the success of Pillars and said, go forth now and make these other cool games. So they paired up with Paizo, which was very smart. They made the Pathfinder Adventure card game, which I featured on my stream before, which is really cool. They've worked obviously on this game. They did an excellent DLC for the White March Part 1 and 2 for Pillars of Eternity, and they're now doing this. So Obsidian is smart about how they do this. They're actually putting it back into investment for new games in the future. So it's not just, I produced my one game, awesome, and that's it. Their focus has always been on being able to do more than just that game, the next game, but a bunch of other ones. So I definitely think Obsidian is quality stuff. Okay, as I'm going through, and I apologize for people, by the way, as I'm going through these questions, I'm both answering questions and trying to play. So there's combinations here. Let's see. Isn't foreshadowing a valid literary technique? Yes, for sure. As long as foreshadowing doesn't become a substitute for, as long as it's not heavy-handed, right? Like if foreshadowing little seeds of information, in my opinion, are things which can lead to a lot greater things down the line, rather than be careful for the great prophecy of doom approaches, because that's been done before. So I don't know what you think about that, John, but of course I think
absolutely, Glester. It's kind of funny. Just this morning, I was editing a short story for a major author who I cannot name here because I don't want to embarrass the guy, and I suggested that he do a bit of foreshadowing in his story. Just to pay off the ending even better. And I don't know if he's going to take it or not. He may not. He's a nice guy. He might do it. He might not. But I love foreshadowing. I think foreshadowing was one of the most effective techniques to set up something that you pay off later. Absolutely. So for sure. It's one of my favorite things to do, to be quite honest. So, Smitten, did the Mad Max films have any influence on the Scarlet Chorus? That's a really good question. It's more of a game developer question. I can't see how it couldn't have been, to be completely honest, and if you read about the Horde, which is the Scarlet Chorus's name for their camp followers in my guidebook, there's actually a pretty expansive definition or exploration of them, because I had Lantern be kind of fascinated by the idea. You can't help but see it's kind of like got that post-apocalyptic fantastical army feel to it. And I don't know, but the thing is, I don't know if it was or not, because that's, like I said, it's a game dev question, I think.
I'm also dropping down the volume just a little bit, just in case it's just a tiny bit too much, so we can make sure we don't get overwhelmed. Thank you for the feedback on that. Okay, we had a lot of other really cool questions, so I'm going to ask those. Let's see. They are, let's see, up we go.
I think the next one is from Pyro.
Okay, what else we got? Let's see. Does tyranny draw heavily from real-world mythology like many valid settings? Let me come... Oh, actually, wait. Smitten asked, does the Mad Max films have any influence on the Scarlet Queen?
I just answered
Oh, you
that
answered that. Okay.
Yeah,
so does tyranny draw heavily from real-world mythology like many fantasy settings? I'll answer Raginator's question before you do that one. The Bane's most hated nemesis is indeed the Batman because he will break you. Okay, that question is now answered. So you want to take on Pyros, and then I'm curious to hear your answer to, there was another question down here about romances in Tyranny, and whether you had a chance to write about any of them. But let's start with that first one about other fantasy.
From what I saw, Pyro, not really, even though, like I said, I made the point about the art to me having a very Grecian feel, for example. But no. I mean, and Kairos, Tunon, to me, and only to me, those names also have a very Greco-Roman feel to it, but they didn't draw on anything. The Blade Grave is not an analogy for X. The Burning Citadel is not an analogy for Y. Although you could say Library of Alexandria, I suppose, if you wanted to. But I don't feel the designers went in and said, no, we want to make this kind of Greco-Roman and update it to X, Y, Z. I feel they really were trying to forge their own path, their own fantasy world to create and tell stories. And so, but again, I don't know because I wasn't a dev on it, so I can't really speak to it.
As I'm quickly, let me zap.
Kill him?
Not quite. In a moment I shall.
Let's see. Is there?
This really is a mix of Pillars combat and other forms of combat in a nice way. I'm not always crazy about everything in Pillars combat, and I really am impressed with how this thing works.
Lester, it's funny. I'm actually just an English major, but I fell into writing through the back door, basically. But I appreciate, yes, creative writing majors, English majors, absolutely.
Amen to that.
Let me jump into Zaitor's question.
Yeah, romances.
I don't know. As I said before, and I don't know if you caught that. Like I said, I haven't played the game through to the end because I didn't want to spoil or have plot knowledge leak into the guidebook. So I'm not really sure how it works and if there's even that opportunity. I think it'd be a good idea if there was one, but I can't tell you. So there's nothing about that. It's funny. There is a Tears lifestyle book which includes certain things like fertility rituals and aphrodisiacs. So there's a little bit about that in there about how people kind of get their thing on, shall we say. But it's more of a, this is what the lifestyle is in general in this area. It didn't get any more specific than that. In terms of the gameplay, your guess is as good as mine. I guess you'll have to play it and find out.
Let's see. The other thing I wanted to mention up there about the pause and real-time rifle. You know what? I'm with you. I like turn-based games more than I do pause with real-time, I think. But I know for a fact that Josh Sawyer is an aficionado of this, and I know that Obsidian in general likes pause with real-time. I also think there's ways to do it and ways there aren't. In the tooltips setup, which I will show you guys as soon as I finished with this fight, you can set up, as you could in the original Baldur's Gate, by the way, under what circumstances you would pause and not pause. So it almost works out to, like, you can pause, you could almost make it effectively turn-based almost, just based upon how often you were able to... Hold on a second. I think it just happened there, actually. Based on how often you were having it pause, like under what events it would pause. And so... Okay, so like for example, I just had it pause there because I have it pause on enemy death. So if you take a look at the auto pause options, you can see here, you can have them all be character hit, character attacked, character damage, melee engage, spellcast, weapon ineffective, stop party movement, party member finishes ability, like any of these things. You can put it into combat auto slow. You can create auto pause at a fixed interval during combat. So although this is real time with pause, it's as close to, I mean, it is as modifiable to get it close to turn-based as you could get, really. In my view, so. Okay, now hard shot. I'm going to take you out. Through the heart! That's right, you're wounded.
That's right.
I got it.
I got it. Alright, focus on me, bastard. Don't focus on this other random person.
Well, get in there.
I'm there.
Oh, are you the lower guy?
I'm the lower, yeah, I'm the...
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm following behind here, I see. So there you go, okay. That's the problem with the lag. I'm watching
this. Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing standing over there for? Like, and then he just
don't you stand there. I'm doing other stuff.
Get in there! Exactly.
When you first played Baldur's Gate, you didn't know you could pause? Yeah, I mean, you could play it just as like you could play it as a just useless. No pause at all, but that's hard, obviously. There is a Tired of Iron version in this, by the way, where if you have one save, and if you lose, you die. This person turned around all of a sudden is like, I'm injured.
Ow.
Don't bother with me. Ow. Go down to the pass, Drastus. The soldier clutches his gut and winces. You can see a hint of entrails between his fingers. You're wounded, and it's not trivial. This but a scratch. I've seen twice as worse, 10 times over. He doubles over in pain, gagging and shivering. If you'll let me help. I said I'm fine. Graven Ash protects. You go on and help the others. Now, this is interesting because it shows you that this is not just Graven Ash. This is that specific comment there. No, yeah, I understand that, Rythel. That makes sense. Graven Ash, Archon of War, is capable of shielding his soldiers from injury and fatigue. This protective influence exerts itself even from far away or as he sleeps. If he sleeps, rumors disagree. Few understand how this arcane power works, but all who have faced the disfavored in battle will attest that Ash's soldiers can survive serious harm and shrug off the fatigue of starvation or long marches in heavy armor. When the disfavored are wounded, Ash's Aegis, as some refer to the Archon's unique power, appears to help the disfavored swiftly recuperate and return to battle. That's pretty cool. Okay, sounds good. Bye, Inquisitor. Thanks for stopping by, man. In about 3 minutes, by the way, guys, about 3 minutes, we will run another raffle for a second giveaway of 2 books from John. Thank you to John for doing that, by the way. And Rizwitcher asks, are there hidden companions or some that you can miss? Are there concealed companions, do you know?
I don't think there are any hidden. I believe you're going to encounter, and I ran through the bulk of them. Like, for example, they all, yeah, even Siren does. They all appear in the guidebook. Some that will surprise you, by the way, and some that you would not think you could bend to your side. And I don't want to give anything away. I know there's certain ones that are like, holy cow. But I don't believe there are any hidden ones. I believe that the paths will take you to encounter. Now, I could be wrong. There may be, if you go on this path, because you didn't take path B, this person is not going to be, you're not going to encounter them. But I don't think any are quote unquote hidden per se. That's what I can tell you.
Okay. By the way, I just found Sun Soldier's Javelin, which is better pierce, better parry, better accuracy, faster recovery, better armor penetration. Ranged attack is a little bit lower. Accuracy +2. Okay, so this is better for melee use of Javelin than ranged. I Accuracy +2.
Maybe you should keep that for in case you do need to get into melee combat at some point.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
That's close, though, because it's close. Anyway. Okay, I will hold on to it. All right. All right, good.
Keep in mind, Arv, you have what is down there called weapon sets, where I think you can set up different configurations of weapons and
I
armor.
do. That's a good call.
Yeah.
I could probably set that up. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I see.
what's her face already got through?
Wow, Farsik, that's a really good question. Yes, you do interact with the Archons one-on-one or in a group or whatever. Yeah, I know there is a lot of it is Archon interaction. And they are portrayed as people. They're very much people. You know, the voices in Nerat is very distinct and unique personality all his own, but he's a person, or several. Tunon is also done that way as well. That Tunon and the voices and Engraven Ash, he's the Archon of War. But very much so, you will interact with them. You know, you're still supposed to be the underling, at least at the start of the game. But absolutely, you will interact and they will make decisions, and you will have to figure out how to go either around, over, or through them, or whatever to get your plans done. And that's an integral part of the game, from what I understand.
Yeah, the world is sort of depressing, Dizzy, I guess, is sort of the nature of it. Boy, this is the quick save and quick load is F6 and F8. For those of us who are used to F5 and F9, that's going to be like, whoa, you know. But yes, I wanted to note, by the way, that when you click on this icon here, you're given an option, at least initially, to either squeeze through the boulder, or if you have a strong enough athletics, to roll it out of the way. And if I had done that, I believe my companion there, Aurora, would have been able to help with the fight. So that's an example of something I don't have. Athletics is not my character's sort of build. But it's interesting that that's an option available to you. Look at all these bodies, man. All signs of their will. Okay. We've got Waking Death. Target will revive when defeated for 120 seconds. Okay. That's pretty awesome. That's what a mushroom does, huh? F6 plus F8. Literally unplayable. Is the guidebook actually only available in the Overlord edition? That you would know better than I would, John.
Right now, but again, unfortunately, the short answer is I don't. Right now, I guess I have to say yes. I believe it's only available as part of buying a game package. I don't know, but I hope it would be available for people if they just wanted to pick up and read it to kind of see, well, do I want to play this or whatever. They've used it kind of as an intro. I do not know what Obsidian/Paradox's plans are to do that. So, but right now I think it's only if you pick up the game package, alas.
Let's see. Try and catch me, Worm. Scarlet Furies are the elite fighters of the Scarlet Chorus, distinguished by their graceful attacks and murderous persistence. Better armed and trained than most Chorus conscripts, the Furies are found among the vanguard of battle, their brutal displays of skill inspiring bloodlust in the masses and fear in the enemy. And the Vendrian Guard is the army of the landlocked realm of Apex, defenders of the central region of the Tiers. Named for House Vendrian, the ruling dynasty of Apex, the Guard has a reputation for being as resilient and stubborn as the mountains themselves. Ostensibly beaten by Kairos' armies and forced to surrender in 429, the Vendrian Guard resurfaced in 431, brazenly defying the Overlord's rule, right? So young Scarlet Fury weaves around the Vendrian Guard attackers, avoiding their weapons with fluid grace. She nods to acknowledge you. All right, just before we move on, if someone would be kind enough, doesn't have to be Sharian again, but if he's willing to do it, that would be awesome. We are going to do a second raffle, and the raffle is going to be again for a copy of 2 books, which is Villains Victorious, and the other one is in the what of evil? Sorry.
In the Shadow of Evil.
In the Shadow of Evil, I knew that. In the Shadow of Evil and Villains Victorious. So, Sharian, if you could set up another raffle, that would be lovely. And we've got about 1 more hour left on this stream, guys. After me, Immerse Simp is going to be doing a promo of Transistor, which is a cool game from the same people that did Bastion. I am going to be back on my channel about an hour and a half later, so about 8:30 or so Eastern, and John and I are going to be on my channel playing through more of this game and chatting more about this subject. And then we'll be doing that and then leave to watch election returns. So that's basically what we'll be doing. So now is the time to do it. And yeah, this is not for GOG code. This is for the copy of these 2 books.
Yep.
Okay. A breathless enemy soldier passes a glance to her countryman. This one's crazy. Too much lead in her water. We should cut our losses and turn back.
Ha! Fate Finder. You're here at last. Care to join me in putting these cowards out of their misery?
That's
that
an interesting
depends.
piece of dialogue.
That depends. Who are you?
Are you serious? I came to escort you to camp when... Damn it! Kill first, questions later.
Sounds like you could use my help.
I'm no water lily, but I'd welcome an extra blade.
You've gained fear with verse. For the realm of Apex, charge! All right, let's do it. Game paused. All right. Oh, now we got 2 companions. All right. So, or we got myself and one other. All right, let's start out with this one.
Didn't your other one die?
Blood-soaked stone. Coordinate with verse to... No oh, so you can do combo attacks.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. All right, so you can do combo attacks. So, all right. Well, let's start out with the hearts, with the, let's do a little heart shot first. And then verse.
Arf sees his opening attack that he likes the most.
Yes. Burning iron. Let's do skewer. Do it.
And Galad, I understand your point about the extra cost for the Overlord Edition. It's like, yeah, it's another AA game. You know, well, I'd like you guys all to pick that up. I understand that cost is a factor. For everything.
How big parties do you form, and how much does it affect XP? That's a good question.
That is a good question. Again, that's more of a game dev question. You know what? I don't know how many companions you could have at one time. I'm not really sure. I got the impression it was 1 or 2, but I do not know because I didn't progress that far enough in the game to find out. And XP, that's also... I come from, as I will tell you, I come from the Baldur's Gate classic, XP for defeating monsters. I'm also not, I'll be honest, not entirely sure about how XP works in this game. So I can't really answer that one either, sorry.
Okay, let's see. Right click on the AI. So you can do the AI settings, several stance abilities provided with different benefits of combat. Stances are modal abilities. Okay, that's also a pillars thing. So let's see. Let's focus on... Yeah, let's do the stance 3 whispers thing so that she can take a little bit less defense at the moment. Lovely. All right. Now let's move in. No, you.
Pyro, once this combat's over, I'll tackle that question you asked.
Okay. Now. Blood-soaked stone. Let's work together.
Sap.
Oh, man. Okay, that was cool, except I didn't do it quite right because he was already dead.
Fighting the wrong guy.
Okay, let's see.
Right.
I'll tear.
Okay. Okay. I want to try that again. Is that only one per encounter? Oh, shoot. Well, darn it. Okay. That's fine. How about you have a heart shot? How about you do burning iron?
Ooh, he's coming to
I'm
get
on
you.
it.
Felga, thanks for the information. I didn't. So it's 4-person parties like in Dragon Age. Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Which is good because then because there are more than some companions will be better for some players, depending on what type of character you utilize. So that's good. And then the buffs and the combos will get even more elaborate and detailed, which is really neat.
Okay, last call here on the raffle. We'll do one more raffle of this right before 7. So last call on this raffle, everybody. Last call if you want to get in on this to get a copy of those 2 books from John. Galad, we are fighting this group because this is a group of people that is holding out against Kairos, the overlord that we serve. Kairos basically wants us to take it over and destroy the Oathbreakers, who have basically decided to rebel against the overlord's rule, and he wants us to break their will. So we are essentially doing that. And my character is the guy on the right, whose name is Coronel Eleron, and Verse is this character that I just met.
I'm Verse, by the way. But there are more important
Let's see, we had a question from Pyro. Obviously, the premise is very dark, but how mature did you find this setting, and what were you writing about as a whole? It's definitely a mature setting, as you saw, with like very kind of grim and at least at the beginning, it's certainly very kind of dark. The setting was
before you busied yourself.
Well, yes, I guess it was mature.
I guess I was too late.
Like a step above the Baldur's Gate stuff, from what I could tell, in terms of how they dealt with, laying waste and the whole themes that they were really exploring. It definitely takes it. It's not just, as I said earlier, not just the more traditional, shall we say, simpler good versus evil. I didn't have to do, well, it's hard to say. A lot of my work, which maybe particularly suited for this task was editorial, where I was taking things that the devs had written for themselves internally and then translating them or editing and rewriting them so they would form into the guidebook. So I was taking that base information and making it readable as if said by Lantry or someone else. So it was a lot of reshaping as well as adding my own touches, the comments I added, which are all mine, based on how they acted, how their voices, how their characters were perceived. And I got some very interesting feedback on some of them, some good, some not so good, like, well, this isn't quite on the money. This one's really impressively on the money. It was kind of fun to see that, how the Obsidian developers reacted to how I portrayed the characters they created was really interesting. So, the guidebook is basically like the manual for Baldur's Gate. I wouldn't call it that. It doesn't go into as deep a detail as that manual did, as I recall. It's been a while since I've reviewed it. I would say it's more of an overview, and it goes into some things that the Baldur's Gate manual didn't even touch. So it's like, is there useful stuff in there for a player? I think so, but it's not going to be like nuts and bolts kind of stuff. But if you look carefully, there's some nuggets in there that I think you would find useful as a player for sure.
By the way, congratulations to Jedi Knight. John knows Jedi Knight from D&D sessions. So
I demand a recount. It's rigged.
He demands it's rigged. Rigged. Congratulations, Jedi Knight.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Let's have you speak in chat, Jedi Knight, so that we know, and then I will let John contact you, or you actually contact John. I beg your pardon.
Yes.
So you'll contact John as soon as I see from you. Where are you, Jedi? Let me see that. Also, I'm gathering information from Verse. Jedi use the Force. I am the droid you're looking for. There's Jedi. Okay, so Jedi Knight, could you please contact John by messaging him at Radio Johnny Panda? Yes, that would be lovely. And yeah, all right. I'm going to ask why you fight like a storm. What's your role in the army?
Fury,
this is all voiced, by the way.
Of our ignoble gang.
Yes.
You'll see more than a few of us around camp, but don't let that fool you. We're a rare breed. Most of the soldiers in the Scarlet Chorus are little more than farmers and children armed with rusted forks. Makes them easier to control. The voices of Nerat called his best fighters to this siege. There must be something important about Vendrin's well, though don't ask me what. The Archon isn't in the habit of spilling secrets.
I'm ready if you are.
Eager. I like that.
And you've just met your first companion.
Nice.
Among the remains of our fallen comrades.
She was also fun to write, because as you can tell, she's like very rebellious.
And they have information about rings. Wow, rings are first introduced by Kairos in the early years of the Northern Conquest. The currency of the divided realms was of questionable value and easily counterfeit, and rings offered the promise of a shared economy simple enough for anyone to understand. Today they are the standardized currency across all the lone Nans of Teredos. Their commonality and ease of transportation quickly made rings the preferred unit of trade even in realms where Kairos peace is not observed. Let's see. Oh, what's up, Glog? It's been good to see you, man. Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, I understand real life has got to take precedence, but it's always good to see you when you are here. So let's see. You should honor your
Glog! I just got Harrier Glog. That's really about it.
Gotta honor them.
If they deserve,
and I'm getting a haircut at the end of the week, so come back next week. I'll look different.
As it is, they're dead and I'm alive. The beating of my heart is celebration enough. Apparently, you haven't spent enough time in the front.
That one made me a little. It's like, well, wouldn't rings be easy to forge too? But they're probably marked in some way that makes it much more difficult to do so.
This is interesting too. So there's apparently two tiers, if you will, of sort of structure with the companions. There's loyalty and there's fear. So far, I've gotten 2 fear tiers, and I've gotten 0 loyalty. And presumably, each one of those has different effects in terms of how things go. Hello, Undying Spite.
You are correct.
That's interesting.
Kind of very Machiavellian there, rule through fear or rule through loyalty, exactly. Pyro, this might be a hard question to answer, but if you had to compare to real-world geography, how large an area does Kairos control? Has it actually counted the world or Europe or America? That is tough because that's the one thing I had a hard time grasping was the scale of Teredos as a whole, and then the area of the tiers, which is the area that you're going to be playing through. I know there's a Northern Empire, and I believe there's other areas too, or it was the Northern Kingdoms. Now it's part of the Northern Empire. But I, even as the guidebook director, and one of the things I told them is like we could really use a map here in the book would really help to kind of give a sense of scale. I still don't have any idea what the scale is. From the history of the world, Kairos has been around for, like I said, centuries and has been slowly consolidating the entire continent under their rule, but I don't know how much they have, how much is left, all that kind of stuff. So it's a good question. Unfortunately, I can't answer that because I've never gotten a sense of scale out of the maps I've seen.
Wow, look at that. I'm extremely impressed. What they've basically done is they've taken some of the things in Pillars that worked the best, and they've just created an environment where it works that much more effectively. Thank you, dear Royan. That is a wonderfully... I want to mention I'm drunk, but I still love you all. But are you drunk because... you love us all because you're drunk? If not, otherwise, it's fine. No, dear Royan, that's as you know, I really appreciate... That's very kind of you. Okay, so contains a magical accent which slightly increases the range of a spell. I'm going to learn that. I'm going to learn that accent. So open the spell interface by pressing P to create a new spell with a sigil you just learned. Let's do it. Let's learn a new sigil.
Zytor, you're picking up the language pretty quickly, I gotta tell you. So I think you might do well in the Overlord's army.
Increases the range of spells. Let's do that. Assign. Charged fist, but this is farther. Okay, let's get rid of... Right. Press any key to exit assign mode. Okay, this I want to remove. Yes. And actually, I want to remove that also. Let's try this again. Because I want to assign this. So I've now got that, but it's also increased because I've got the reach and grasp. So it increases basically the range of charged fist, which is awesome because I'd rather not get killed. So I'm going to assign this to that. And I guess while I'm at it, I'll assign it here too. Even though I don't plan to ever using that very much. Okay, you fought your way to the Ventrian Guard, attempted to flee the valley, defeat the remaining enemy forces that continue to press their attack in camp. I will do that, but first I'm going to quick save using the bizarre F6. So, yes. Question, is there a genre you prefer to write in?
Fantasy far away is my first love, no doubt. If I, writing for Arv and Icarus was great. Working with Mark Tassin on his Ataltis anthology and the world he created there was terrific. I love fantasy like this. This is my bread and butter if I could make it work. But my next book, ironically, is going to be a science fiction tie-in set in another world. I think I need to burnish my SF chops. They're a little, not weak, but they're underwhelming. So I want to kind of punch that up a little bit more. And plus, it's something I want to keep. I enjoy science fiction. I don't really enjoy hard SF all that much. I don't want 8 pages of why a spaceship works. I just want to know you can get in it and go somewhere, basically. But I do feel I enjoy science fiction quite a bit, especially near future stuff. I think that's good too. So.
Gray asks, is there a huge variety of sigils? I don't know, is there? Because that's pretty sweet, that idea of the sigil and the spell building kind of thing.
There's a big section on the magic in the guidebook. It goes more into kind of the theories and history of it. I would say, from what it looks like, there probably is. I can't see there not being one because magic is an integral part of the game. So I'm going to tentatively say, yes, I assume there are, just based on, because I hadn't even touched that, what you were doing, Arv, with that. I want to create this. I'm going to make this able to shape your magic. I would assume there's a lot. I know there was, if I remember correctly, there's 12 different classes of magic in the game itself.
Okay.
So start combining those in different combinations. You've got almost infinite varieties.
That's a good question, Grairth. I will check that out after I'm done with this fight. And Parafox has a question about edicts, where magic comes from in this world. Can everyone cast spells? Does it come from a deity? I assume that means. Is it passed on through bloodlines?
That's another good question. That actually, the magic section in the guidebook touches on some of this. So I'll go into it in a little bit to give you a little bit. Let's see here. Is it known where magic comes from in this world? Not that I'm aware of. Can everyone cast spells? No. Mages are fairly special and rare. Does it come from a deity? Not that I'm aware of again, but again, they don't know the source per se. Is it passed through bloodlines? No, it's not, which is also very interesting. But what they do, unless you're an Archon is a different kind of spellcaster. If you're a regular mage, you're kind of drawing on echoes of previous mages that have gone before you, and that's where the sigils come in. And that's how you create a spell that you're drawing on, like blankety blank, the Ice Lord did this spell 200 years ago. You're drawing on that sigil to cast a weaker version of that spell today. It's kind of almost an homage magic system in my experience.
That's really cool. Before you get to Varsk's question, so we've met a new person here who's a chanter of some kind, blood chanter. Run down the Oathbreakers, let none escape. A blood chanter emerges at the head of the rabble, the ornamental crest of her staff pulsing with crimson tones. Signing sigils of magic and wordlessly moving her mouth, the blood chanter scribes a series of spells into the air. A red glow surrounds the Vendrian guard warriors as the chanter's magic worms its way into their minds, blinding them with rage. Hold position, all of there. You there, keep to the path. No, don't engage them. We need to run. Oh, God damn it.
No, that's interesting. I thought Blood Chanter would have been highlighted because that's the mage, what they call the mages of the Scarlet Chorus.
And it does look like, yeah, it does seem, I mean, it does say that that's the quality of them. Like, I mean, that's the, what do you call it? That's the character, like, they list that as being part of that faction, but.
Right.
So Vars asked, before Kairos, what was the structure of the societies, tribal, feudal, etc.? How do they change as they're conquered?
Ooh, that's another good question, and the guidebook touches on that as well. Apparently in the tiers, before the rise of the benevolent overlord Kairos, there were a bunch of feuding kingdoms. Petty squabbling, the nobles had carved out their areas, and they had their fiefdoms, spheres of influence, and Kairos comes and pretty much puts an end to all that. And they will let the leader live as long as they bend the knee and swear fealty to the overlord. If they don't, they get annihilated pretty much. So you're basically a figurehead because you have to. But the interesting thing in the guidebooks is the laws of Kairos, as well as the laws of both the disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus. Each of them has their own little kind of internal guidelines. Kairoses are the most interesting, of course. You know, one is Kairos will protect you. Just swear fealty to the Overlord, and you'll be protected. But yeah, it's basically that they're technically wiped away because now you're following the Overlord's laws instead of any local laws you once had. It really is like the Empire in Star Wars. It's like, you know, fear will keep the local systems in line, that kind of thing.
How will they govern the governors?
How will they maintain control? Yeah, exactly. Okay. Fear will keep the local systems in line. And that's pretty much the case. Fear of the Overlord, absolutely.
Okay. Let's see. What's up, Dragon? How you doing, man?
Dragon!
Let's see. What's going on, Dragon? Okay. Let's see.
Pyro asked a good question. What does Kairos actually look like? At this point in the story, only the highest Archons know. Because only people like Tunon and Nerat and Bladen Mark, the assassin of the Archon of Shadows, and the premier assassin in the world, only they see Kairos. So I can't describe them.
Okay, let's heart shot you.
Fear this battle station. You seem to be doing pretty well in striking at range, Arv.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the Verse has taken a lot of damage up front. She clearly is not my tank, is the situation.
Or not yet. I mean, she can take it, but she's not going to last forever. That's true.
Crescent Runner, come quick. We have a situation on the cliffside. They have the commander. All right, you do that.
You're exactly right. It's like, yes, it was chaos and squalor, and then they elevated us into the Enlightenment, so to speak. Yeah.
It looks like they build health. Looks like they restore health, by the way, after fights.
You have my attention. Spit out whatever you have to say.
Oh, see, I got an option to talk with her because of Fear 1.
What do you need?
Let's see. Are you a spy for the Voices of Nerat? Actually, no. Tell me something about yourself.
Yeah, if you insist. I'm a Scarlet Fury.
Galahad, basically, the conquest of Taratus is ongoing. Like I said, I think, and I don't quote me on this number, but it's been rumored that Kairos is at least, and this is a minimum, like 4 centuries old. So the Overlord has been around a long time, is very powerful, and has been consolidating their hold on the entire continent for, I think this campaign is ongoing at least a century and maybe even longer. So this is very long-term planning and programming. Let's put it that way.
I want to point out, by the way, very quickly, that the portrait apparently reflects the image, the equipment that you've put on, which is pretty amazing. I thought the portrait was just going to be sort of a static portrait with different positions, but it actually reflects the fact that she has a helmet that I put. So that's pretty cool.
Neat. Very neat.
Let's see. Tell me about your life before the chorus. Let's chat, Verse. We got off to the wrong foot. Life? What life? As far as I'm concerned, I didn't exist before the chorus. I was a solo. I'm sorry, that's terrible. There was some girl in a farm wearing my face and talking with my voice, but she wasn't me. Sometimes she would sneak out at night, take a scythe, and have some fun with the livestock. Our shared interest began and ended there. When the Scarlet Chorus swept through my village on their long trek from the bastard city, that was when I finally woke up. I buried my old life, took red vengeance on anyone who'd wronged me, and found the freedom I could only dream was out there. What of your parents? My mother ran a successful farm, and I worked it for a number of years before I found the chorus. She was a hard, bitter woman, acted like the world owed her something. She never talked about my father, though I figured out a thing or two about him later on. He was a merchant from the Northern Empire, took a liking to her, and she him. He stayed around only long enough to get what he wanted. But never mind him. My mother never had what you would call taste, so he couldn't have been terribly influential to me if he did stick around. This is like the Jack of this game. Any Mass Effect fans? Who's with me? She's got the mohawk. She's got tattoos. Do you ever wish you could do things over and end up somewhere other than Kairos' army? Tell me your feelings. That's as naive a question as I've ever heard. Kairos is everywhere. If you went to the Overlord's army, you're being trampled by it. Of course, I could have labored on the family farm into my maturing years, married some dolt, and littered him a nursery of squealing piglets. Having my body torn to pieces by smaller versions of me sounds like fun. You're good. But you're fun at parties. Then one day, when I decided enough was enough, I'd slit my husband's throat over breakfast and run off to join the chorus anyway. My way saved a lot of time. Verse smooths back the feathers in her hair and shakes her head with a smile. I think you could have given that life a chance. Fear. You don't know me at all, Fatebinder. Oh yeah, I'm closing in on tier 2 of Fear. I have a feeling that Verse and I are not going to get along so well, I have a feeling. How did you get conscripted? How did I think you have the wrong idea about me. I wonder, Pyro, I wonder. The chorus didn't take me as a sobbing maid. I strode into their camp and enlisted. Someone tossed me a dented blade, I lived through initiation, spent a week butchering my neighbors, and moved on with my new kin. I didn't waste time with goodbyes. My mother had long since died, and the rest of my family were louses. The girl I used to be, even she knew that she was worth more than all of them combined. What's the significance of your feathers? Insufficient reputation, huh? I don't tell that story to just anyone. You'll have to butter me up before I get into the really intimate details. Don't wait for the translation. Answer me now. Okay. Enough questions about your past. Tell me about your time with the Scarlet Chorus.
The Scarlet Chorus is mostly for madmen and peasants with rusty daggers, but it's also a little niche of freedom that I never had. Once I survived training and met my Scarlet Fury sisters, I saw a different side of the Howling Mob.
Tell me about your training.
For new recruits shoved to the front lines, training means surviving the first battle. Anything beyond that is for the fighters who show potential, whether as blade dancers or arcane madmen. There's nothing in the world like getting put through the paces as a Scarlet Fury.
Pyro, go back to your
Every
question when
day
the
is a test of your
over
commitment
speaking
and
is done.
passion. Failure means death. The first few weeks were the hardest, but also the most rewarding. I earned my name, picked up some quality weapons, and met my sisters.
You earned your name? If you think a simple farmer from the Tiers would name her child Verse, I suggest you visit my old village. Most of them were walking around with surnames like Barrel or Fish. Not the most creative bunch. The chorus takes your name away. Whoever you were before, you aren't that person anymore. Then you earn back a name through great deeds, usually murderous ones. That's why you see choirmen walking around with names like Stink Mouse or Face First. There's probably a good reason for it. The Voices of Narat gave me this name. When the Scarlet Chorus runs howling into battle, he doesn't hear war. He hears a symphony. And when I fight with blade or bow, he told me that my music stands out louder than anyone else's and contains too many parts to be easily defined. When you least suspect it, the Archon of Secrets can be downright charming. Tell me your real name. Oh, tier 2. Oh man, she is not happy with me. I'm already halfway to tier 3. That question isn't worthy of either of us, but I'll entertain it out of pity. You already know me by my real name. It's Verse. Are you looking for whatever arbitrary collection of letters and sounds my mother thought was appropriate when she didn't even know me? Then you're out of luck. I buried that name a long time ago. Long by my standards, anyway.
Where is Rachel?
Where's Rachel? Swear to me. But you can go ahead and answer his question if you like.
No, Pyro, that's fine. The questions are excellent. It's just, some things there's not much I can really talk about it. There are no such things as vampires, at least not in this iteration. I don't think there's going to be. Like I said, the Beastmen are the only really other non-human race I'm aware of. Like, for example, one thing they mentioned is like there are no horses in this world. Things are carried around on packs, or the beastmen are used as beasts of burden. So there's no such things as vampires or liches or anything like that. That the general common folk are aware of for sure. And the general common folk, for them, Kairos would be something akin to probably a demigod or even a god, because you'd be that far above them and wield so much massive power. So that would be the closest. Now, not that we've talked about really religion here, because it doesn't really factor into it. As you can see, there's no such thing as a cleric or anything like that. Healing is done just through magic. But if I had to draw the anodyne, that's not the word I'm looking for, the parallel, that's what I think they would call Kairos. So, and yeah, the first thing that they do, I mean, do they have any idea of what Kairos sends their armies out to conquer people? They don't do it themselves. They don't need to. That's what they have armies for. That's what they have archons for. Okay, when you're ruling such a large portion of territory, you gotta know how to spread your forces and not disperse. What's the word I'm looking for, Arp? It's
to delegate.
Thank you. Yes, that's it. Yeah, you gotta know how to delegate. Absolutely. So.
I want to point out to everybody that I managed to throw around my authority in a way that she liked, so I gained a little bit of loyalty. So we still get a chance, guys. You're saying there's a chance.
Throwing your authority around like it meant something. Yeah, she's a sarcastic little
Exactly. I mentioned before I'm good at picking up different weapons and fighting techniques. The truth is I'm better than good. I could flay a man so cleanly I'd leave a single strip of skin behind. He wouldn't even need to be tied down. Yeesh. That was one of the first things I discovered about myself after joining the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nerat recognized it in me as well, which is why he singled me out for Scarlet Fury training. Have you tried that flaying trick before? Let's just say that when we ran out of canvas for pitching tents, the fifth eye handed me a knife and pointed me to the prison pens. Well, damn. Okay.
Yeah, pretty mature.
Pretty mature. Wow. My sisters were the masters of their fighting forms, but since they died, my style has changed, almost like I can kill as they did. I could pick up a bow, a lance, anything really. I could tear someone to pieces with a weapon that I only watched my sisters use. I don't know what it could mean, and that worries me. Who are your sisters? Who were they would be more appropriate. 3 Whispers, Red Geyser, and Seeking Sheath. Best fighters I ever met. There wasn't a foe we couldn't take down together. Our fighting styles complemented perfectly, so we divided up the killing work like bards sharing a song. At least we used to. Tell me about 3 Whispers. You Christensen asks, is the campaign multi-generational, needing you to exchange party members?
That's a good question as well. I do not know.
Given the relative in his human skin. Well, listen, Varsk, I mean, some in this world, maybe human skin is thicker than normal. It's possible.
Varsk asks, are there any commonalities between the Archons and personality, for example, or is it more they've been chosen for a role? From what I can tell, the Archons, other than we like power because we like following the Overlord, have fairly distinct personalities, although there are, supposedly Bladen Mark, the Archon of Shadows, is supposedly pretty tight with Tunon, but whether that's a real thing or it's just I go where the Archon of Law, of Adjudication tells me and kill who he tells me to kill, I don't know. They also do have pretty distinct personalities, like Graven Ash, very different from the others, as befitting a career soldier. And Tunon the Adjudicator, very different as well. So, and I think one of the things they gave them, the Archons' titles don't automatically fit who they are, but I think they do adapt to those titles because Kairos seems to be a pretty good picker of talent. Let's put it that way.
I just got a reputation ability, which I'm going to check on in just a minute. By the way, so everybody knows, we have about 20 minutes or so before we're going to do the last raffle, because we do need to end about 5 minutes before to give Merce Simp some chance to play. So we've got about, like I said, 20 minutes or so, and then we'll do the last raffle. And then that we'll wrap up at the top of the hour. I will be playing this game in a series on this show, on this channel, but I will also be playing this game tonight with John on my own channel a little bit further. So if you have more questions, you can come over to my channel, which will be around 8:30, and that will give you an hour and a half at least to check out Immerse Sim playing some Transistor, which should be cool stuff as well. Also, apparently, she's upset at the fact that I tried to give her an out, and she's like, "No, I suck," and I shouldn't have. So, oh well.
Yeah, dear Lord. Pirate, and keep in mind that's not an official in-game term. I'm just saying, compared to the average peasant, even Kairos would be that high up in terms of the power and control they wield. But that's not a game term. So I want to be very clear on that, because Pyro, you ask a very good question, and I don't know. That's one thing that the devs didn't really touch on. It's very much, this is the world, this is how magic works.
What do you need to know?
Bah. And that was it. So it would seem to me, and again, this is just my interpretation of it, that they didn't want to really touch on religion as any kind of a game element or balance, because there's really nothing in even the guidebook that speaks about religion, to be honest. So it was not a concern for them, which I do find interesting in terms of how it shapes the game and the world they created.
This is pretty cool. So the Voices Nerat steals the minds and knowledge of his victims, and so he actually like channels some of them at different times, which is pretty cool. It's F8 Earthor is the binding for a quick load. Okay, let's see. What makes the Voices of Nerat so powerful? He's the Archon of Secrets, and he didn't earn that title lightly. People say that he knows more than every sage in the tiers combined, and that he can think 1,000 steps ahead of the other Archons. Speaking of sages, one of the longest surviving schools of magic in the tier is the School of Ink and Quill. I think I already read this. Right, so they're basically the mages of this world, yes. You'd be putting it lightly to say he's never alone under that disapproving helmet of his. If you make secrets your business, I guess having people constantly whisper in your ear is a good thing. I usually want people to shut up, but to each their own. Tell me about the fifth eye. A walking nightmare, that one. I couldn't begin to guess who lives under that armor and speaks with that reedy voice, but I'll tell you what I know. When your world is built on secrets, it pays to have a few extra eyes. The Voices of Nerat has eyes in abundance, some that he keeps close and others that he sends out in the wilderness. Whoever the fifth eye was before he came into the Archon's service, now he's just a half-mad jabbering speech hole. A bodily function, in other words. An eye. Like, wait, Nerat's eyes are people? Soylent Green is people! Maybe they used to be people. Whatever they were, they're eyes now. Folks like to whisper that the Voices of Nerat takes his servants and cut out all the extra parts that they don't need. I once heard the Voices in the fifth eye in a tent together. The voices kept screaming, "Redundancies! Redundancies!" every time another gout of blood would spray on the canvas walls. I can't even guess what he was cutting out. Oh my god. Oh man. How many eyes does the Archon of Secrets have? The number keeps changing, either because it grows or because rumors don't mean shit. 3, 7, 19. Some even say that all of us are eyes and we don't even know it. It's one of those questions that drives you mad if you allow yourself, first mistake, to think. Yourself to think. QA failed. Oh, it's okay. I'm fairly impressed that we got that far in. About it far too long. Hey, you could be one of Tunin's eyes. I'm not. Bet you never thought of that. Let's see. Tell me about the gang bosses. The boss is anyone who can rally enough support to kill the previous boss. They cling to command until someone gets wise and stabs them in the back. Tipcap leads the Filthy Lambs, Lox leads the Rusted Harps, Sharp used to lead the Bone Boys. Couldn't say where he ended up after they broke his legs. Waterwheel orders around the Hairy Hunters, Hauls for Shit leads the Lazy Malkins, then Scurvy Queen, Finger Food, and Wild Gash is like Jimmy the Smith, Bobby the Squirrel, collectively lead the Ladies of Perpetual Strangulation. There's a name. I'm forgetting at least a dozen more. I've even led a gang or two in my day. They never survive very long, so no point in getting attached. You led a gang? Don't act so surprised. I can crack a whip better than any of those daisies at the disfavored labor camps. But I was never that interested in the power struggle of those grunts and scabs in the middle. I wanted to stand on the top like an apex predator. Here I am. So when I got tired of a gang, I disbanded and let the other bosses fight over the new recruits. That much amused me, at least. Some of my old mates are still alive and hanging around wherever they ended up. Alright, Scarlet Chorus. Let me ask you about something else. Oh my god, are there a lot of branching things here. I have thoughts about your combat abilities.
Do you now? Call me intrigued. You already know that I memorized the moves of my Scarlet Fury sisters.
Yeah, this one's like, dang.
It seems like a total mystery to me. I don't know how you could have arrived at any conclusions, but I'm open to ideas.
Your talent reminds me of the Voices of Nerat. Confess!
I hope I didn't hear you say that, Fatebinder. Because the implication is more than either of us is prepared to handle. The Voices of Nerat is a monster. We both know that Taratus has never seen a creature more despicable than him. Never mind that he's kind of my boss.
I'm not comparing you to the Voices, only this talent you exhibit.
My little talent that latches onto my friends and bleeds them dry, you mean? Because I never asked for it.
Dun, dun, dun.
I've traveled with the chorus for years. I've seen what the Voices can do, and it scares me, all right? The idea that everything I am could be reduced to that. If I had that kind of power. If I could become like him.
Come on, keep pushing out with number one.
I don't know how I could live with myself. I'd rather drown myself in a camp latrine.
You don't have to become like him. Just be selective.
I'm sure you have the same
Pyro unknown.
But you know what they say about power?
If there was,
usually wielded by
I would
assholes.
assume that any would-be assassins met a swift and probably far too painful death. And
We're amazing together.
that they wouldn't, that the
didn't
Kairos
mean
would
to
not
take away
allow
what made them
knowledge
special,
of
but
that,
it
even
did it all
attempt
the
to
same.
get out beyond
tell you.
any inner circle.
It felt terrible. If I lived a century, I might never.
She
figure
never
out
asked
how to
for
make that
this.
happen again. And more importantly, I don't want to.
How's it that you picked up your fallen sister's weapon skills? It's been on my mind for some time, and I still don't have an explanation that fits. I have a few ideas, but Scarlet Furies share a sort of link. It's how we coordinate our dance in the heat of battle. We don't pass messages or anything, but our emotions and intentions sync up without words. Go on. The one thing I always knew was that I felt this connection more keenly than my sisters did. I could pick up nuances that they missed, and I could feel them from farther away. When my sisters died, I felt each of them getting yanked out of my brain like someone pulling snails from a garden. Ooh. But some of their slime residue was still there. Huh. Does that make any sense? I would take comfort in that. Your sisters live on in you. Your optimism is cute, Fatebinder, if singularly useless. It won't bring my sisters back, and it doesn't fix this thing in my head that I don't understand. No matter how you paint it, some part of my sisters broke off in me when they died, and now I'm left to deal with it. Just another day in the tears, right? Alright, well, what are your thoughts on the disfavored? A warren of self-entitled children so wound up in delusions of honor they're likely to hang themselves by their own high standards. I wish they stayed in the Northern Empire where they belonged. Then we could get some real work done in the tiers. Unfortunately, you're wrong because I've identified with that. Okay. I'll let John answer that question about specific orders and so on.
That is an excellent question. Does Kairos send specific orders constantly to the territories, or are they largely self-governing as long as they follow the rules? The answer is, typically an Archon is set in charge. Usually, like if there's a puppet leader, then you've got the puppet leader. Typically, they are self-governing as long as they bend the knee and follow the overlord's edicts. Not edicts, but it follows the laws. I should make it edicts. It's a very separate thing. So as long as they follow the laws, they can live their lives relatively unmolested or undisturbed. If they start getting uppity, of course, then that's when the trouble starts. So, exactly. But once you are conquered, and then you accept the, whether it's an Archon or your own leader says, yes, I will follow the Overlord's rules. The Overlord is great. Hail the Overlord. Then you're pretty much free to go about life, as it was before, technically. You just have a bunch of whole new rules you have to follow.
You know what's interesting about that question, that comment, Dizzy, about the Empire and how it's organized, is all of us have done some stuff with this. I actually have a book that I have kind of on the back burner called Sunrise and Empire that talks a little bit about the experience of the colonizing effect on the colonizer, right? So it's not just the people who are oppressed, but what effect does it have on the oppressor? And oftentimes it's sort of covered over through regimentation, through organization, through ritual. And the reason I mentioned the Roman Empire is because this is very much what the Roman Empire did. The Roman Empire really was rotting away long before it knew that it was rotting away. And part of that is that it was covering over its constant colonizations and its military might and everything else was covering over a real problem at its core. So it had enormous organizational capability, and so much so that I think it was difficult then for members of the Roman Empire to see what was happening until it was too late really to stop it in absolute terms. So. Well,
it's funny that Dizzy, I'm going to comment on that one as well. It's funny that you mentioned that because there's actually one of Kairos' laws grants a certain amount of freedom to the Archons ruling their particular areas to set up their own little things. Like, as long as you follow my laws, you guys can do just about whatever you want. Right. So certain autonomy has been granted to the Archons, therefore giving them, as I had Ev call it, a scrap from the main table to keep them in line as well. So it's one of the greatest things I ever wrote about Eb, where she grudgingly acknowledges that Kairos knows how to keep his minions in line.
Same thing, by the way, as to how the Roman Empire survived in that regard too, is that they let the regional governors. I mean, the governors handled a lot of power on their own because the Roman Empire could not possibly micromanage everything from Rome, right? So a lot of it was kind of, as long as you keep the populace generally in order, don't screw around with X, Y, and Z, and don't make us come over there. I'll turn this empire around. Like, don't make me come back there and cause problems.
I'll turn the army around. That's how that's going to happen.
I'll turn the army around. Exactly.
There's only room for one overlord, Pyro. So, Kairos rules alone. On the back, are the Archons allowed families? That's a really good question. I do not know of any that have them. But at the same time, I don't think it's outside the rules. They just appear to be too busy doing their own stuff to really gotta raise some Rugrats. But I'm not sure. There may be one that decides to have one. It's hard to say. At this point in time, I don't know of any that exist. Let's put it that way.
Let's see. Do you think the disfavored have a chance to succeed in the tiers? Speaking as one of the exceptions, most of the tiersmen are pushovers. The people of Stalwart seem capable enough, though I have my doubts. You might call them the disfavor's best challenge. Even if they succeeded, it might be too late. Indeed you did, Grand Commander. Too late to redeem themselves. The chorus have already impacted the conquest more than the disfavored have or likely ever will. What are your thoughts on their battle strategies? They've really got something with that phalanx maneuver. Oh yeah, the phalanx. A formation built on holding still, moving forward slowly, and hoping that no one slips in the mud. At best, the disfavored are tired of using the same tactic over and over again. At worst, the enemy knows what to expect out of them. Scarlet Furies are dancers. We hear the music of battle and organize ourselves into works of killing art. Every fight is as hot and passionate as the last, with no room for stale routine. Ask about something else. What do you think of those who defy Kairos' authority? The tiersmen can either fight or submit to Kairos' peace, and only one of those options captures my interest. I suppose I appreciate when they go down fighting. If they did otherwise, I'd need to find another excuse to flay them. They need to understand whether we unify the tiers under a shared banner or at the bottom of a mass grave makes little difference to you, me, or Kairos. You can go ahead and answer that if you like, John.
I wouldn't call them particularly strange or unusual. There is one interesting one, although there's no official wording for it. It's kind of an unofficial rule of not taking the Overlord's name in vain. As in, you can't, swear on Kairos' honor or something like that, because that will draw the Overlord's wrath down upon you. However, in the tiers already, they call a hangover Kairos' backhand. And that's been pretty much let go as a, yes, I will let this one go. It's kind of funny how they go, this is not okay, this is okay. No one names their children or their animals after the Overlord, for example. That causes bad things to happen. It's typically, let's see, the rules are, bend your knee and I will provide you safety. The Archons who rule in my stead have the power to set up their own little fiefdoms the way they want. There's a strange kind of share and share alike rule that, feast or famine, all should be fed, even if it's taking from plenty and giving to those who don't have it, which is an unusual one in this kind of monarchy or absolute ruler kind of thing. And that goes more into how they set up the merchant classes, which doesn't really play into the game as much as I was hoping it was going to, but there is an aspect of it in here, so don't get me wrong. So it's, I want to say, fairly standard dictator stuff. The
usual.
Kind of, don't take my name in vain. Do what I say, not what I do. That kind of stuff. Yeah, the usual stuff. Bend the knee and you will live. Do not and you will die. Oh, there was an interesting thing about, what was it? It said something about the right to give life and take life ends with the Archon about adjudicating and punishment, for example, like how it rolled down the hill because the Archons are acting with Kairos' will, therefore their subordinates can punish the subordinates under them acting on the Archon's will. There's a whole big thing on that too, but it's I want to say fairly standard stuff.
One thing I want to point out to chat, I really love this idea. There's reputation abilities, and it's based upon this connection. But the cool thing is, it doesn't do something where it's like you have to, like the Dragon Age nonsense, where you just sort of like you get like nicer and nicer with someone until she wants to sleep with you. Apparently, like that's the only end game here. This is not that way. So loyalty allows me to get a certain ability called Death from Above. So launch her to the air, allow her to unleash a series of well-aimed arrows on the target from above. Blah blah blah. But fear, which I've already reached tier fear, there is project intense flames towards Verse, which she catches on her blades and spins into her aura of wreathing flames around her. Nearby foes take burn damage from the flames while they last. That is a really cool idea, and it means that there's no you can play it the way you want and not worry that you're undercutting yourself practically because of the way you want to play the game role-playing wise, right? Like, I want to play the game as an honorable sort of noble who is kind of like, do things with refinement, don't do that. That's what I want to do. So you're able to do that and still be effective with her as a character, not be like, nope, she won't serve you, she's going to leave or whatever. She'll serve you, but she'll serve you in different ways, which I think is really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Let's see, spell scrolls. I did that already. I was missing all these tooltips over here. Talking with companions, I've already done that.
Okay, this is funny. There was a question from, I think it was Varsk. Given how Kairos seems to like giving freedom to his subjects, how is infighting dealt with and to what extent? Obviously, there is some conflict between the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus, but when is it too much? At what level of power? Funny you should mention that. There's actually a law called the Overlord's Right of Adjudication. And the quote here, and that's all I'm going to read because I have to read the rest of it. If two sworn vassals shall come to an irreconcilable conflict, only the overlord may adjudicate right from wrong, the living or the dead. Basically, there's a certain, it falls into what I was saying earlier about who can kind of destroy whom, or who can, rule down on whom. And a part of that I know is an integral part of this game. You as a Fatebinder, your character, is going to get involved in these disputes. And you saw some of that in that little make these decisions here, there, weigh in on this, weigh in on that. It gets more complex with the conversation trees and everything as you move forward into it deeper. So you are going to be at the center, at the forefront of these decisions. And you have to weigh in on sometimes, and sometimes you maybe end up defending yourself against others who may seek to levy charges against you. So
one of the really cool things, more likely to kill you than kiss you. Pyro versus would be my waifu. I was going to say as well that the that some of the tooltips about it wasn't armor. Engagement. One of the things that was most controversial about Pillars of Eternity and the combat system was this engagement idea that if you broke away, it would cause essentially attacks of opportunity penalties. They call it a disengagement attack here, but they use something similar here, and that was very controversial at the time. I think the way that it was deployed seemed to work out okay, but it basically just means you can't run around people with impunity because they can be like, hey, you're running away from me without looking at me, I'm going to attack you. So also, I'm able to talk to Verse about fear too, because she's still upset. We'll talk later.
Yeah, the pirate asked a good question. What would be the biggest taboo considering Kairos himself signed terms disobeying his rule? Never ask where his power from or if he can be killed? Well, I say never try to rise up against him. That's probably a good idea. But again, Kairos is the figurehead at the top of the mountain, and the Archons rule given direct adjudication to do so. So it's not like a peasant or even a noble can petition for an audience with the Overlord. That's not what Kairos does. So basically, the rules that they cover pretty much what you should do and not do while you're under the Overlord's aegis. But yeah, the typical stuff. But considering the fact that there's one about don't take the Overlord's name in vain, that's pretty, direct in terms of what you can and can't do regarding even mentioning them in polite company or impolite company for that matter.
Let's see. Scarlet Notebook. Red spiral is carved upon the wooden cover of this papyrus notebook. The handwriting within is haphazard and inscrutable, the work of an unpracticed, poorly trained wordcaster. A few entries contain recognizable sentences. What's up, Darksaber? And the book appears to be the journal of a Scarlet Chorus commander detailing troop movements. Guys, it's Outstar Walker's book! Outstar Walker has given us the book of how she controls the GOG stream team. All right, I want to ask Darksaber, Dizzy Plays, I want to ask Kilgore, Takanjia, very important to ask also Sharian, everyone who's here who knows this, what we should do with Outstar Walker's notebook. I'm joking. Maybe. I wouldn't tell you if I were. By the way, I asked her straight up about being a spy, and she's like, I was, but not anymore. And then I was like, all right, well, no harm done. And so I gained loyalty. So see, she fears me, but she's also like, well...
I might be able to work with you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, plus 2% defect. Okay, this is much better than what I've got.
Pyro, has an Archon ever publicly rebelled against Kairos? Yes. One has, and the punishment was terrible. All I'm going to mention is that the particular Archon was called Cairn, the Archon of Stone, and you will find out more about his story, although not the whole thing, in the guidebook. And in what happened to him. It was not pretty. And it's still ongoing, by the way. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, definitely good call, Puerto. I'm actually exactly what you're suggesting is what I'm doing right now. And then after I pick this loot clean, we will have to wrap up after they are on here. But I will continue playing, as I said, over on my channel in about an hour and a half after we get to the top of the hour. And what we're going to do, I think, right now, if Sharian wouldn't mind, or one of the mods, doing our final raffle of the evening here, that would be lovely. We're going to do one for, again, a giveaway. And it is an awesome giveaway, I think. Yes, we've got... Okay, most importantly, guys, stop everything. We found cheese. So, we've got cheese. Clearly, the game is a must-buy. I should point out, by the way, that you can pre-order the game right now if you want. John has been talking so knowledgeably about the game. If you want his guidebook, and John is an excellent writer, so you should. If you want this guidebook, then you should get the pre-order for the Overlord edition, and you should do so by clicking on the link that's in chat. There you go, Takanji. Exactly. That happens to be my affiliate link as well, so that's nice. Since they reminded me about it, and I had forgotten to put it in.
Jeez, Gromit. Hilarious.
Jeez, Gromit. Literally playable. Exactly.
By the way, guys, thanks everyone for your questions. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with you. I had a blast. Really good stuff you asked. I hope you've enjoyed this time, and I hope you enjoyed the game. And if you pick up the guidebook, that's fantastic. I hope you enjoyed that too. Jedi, I still have not heard from you unless you contacted me somewhere else. I haven't gotten a message from you, so I do need that address information, buddy.
Yeah, so make sure you contact John if you have not already done so. Compare horde boots, recovery deflection. It's better on armor. No, I don't think I like that.
Is Kairos secretly our character? No, Kairos is very much their own person.
Okay, Torn Banner bears a scratched out icon of the disfavored. Army's original symbol has been lost to history, and Graven Ashes never ordered a replacement. Preferring the blasted icon over all others. Okay.
I have to be honest, Kilobyte Cheese did not really factor into the guidebook very much at all.
What? There's no writing about cheese? I'm appalled.
And now, the cheese chapter.
Now cheese is absolutely critical. Okay. I will be talking to Cosma next time. All right, so I'm going to... I've saved that.
Waffles.
So good stuff. I'm going to go back up to here.
Waffles.
Yes, so I believe raffle is going on now, if I am reading that correctly. Let me see if I've got that right. So raffles are coming up, and waffles too. That's great. Last call for the raffle. Thank you for whoever doing that. If it was Takanjia, thank you very much for doing that. And then, as I said, we will be wrapping up. Then I will be back at you guys in about an hour and a half. John will be joining me over on my channel, and we will be talking more about this game. We'll be going farther into the game and playing more of it, which will be cool. And you'll get more of a chance to chat with John and myself about writing and things like that if you are interested. If you haven't already done so, don't forget, by the way, to follow the channel. Please subscribe to GOG.com if you can. Please check us out individually as well. We have individual stuff, including my Patreon, which allows me to do some cool stuff. And if you're like, man, this guy John's awesome, how can I get more of him? Well, one of the ways you can get more of him is by checking him out. He is a member of the Infinity and Beyond crew, playing Dungeons & Dragons with me usually twice a month. And we are currently in the middle of the Rise of Tiamat. So if D&D grabs you, and frankly, if you like this game, I think you should be interested in D&D, then you should go over and check out his character, Cade Marmadas, who's been playing for many, many months now. It's been good times, and they're now level 7, so they're moving into starting to move into the higher game. So that's
we might live slightly longer in combat.
Slightly longer. So congratulations to Raginator Vogue. Raginator Vogue is the winner. Congratulations, Raginator. And make sure that you contact, again, Radio Johnny Panda. You just saw that up there. Definitely check out John's other work, johnhelfers.net as well. But yeah, check out Message Radio Johnny Panda there, and John will talk to you and set things up for getting you these books that you have won, which will be awesome. Sorry, Gray, but listen, Gray, there may possibly be a giveaway over on my stream, maybe. So
I think we can make that happen.
I think we can make it happen. So you will. Yep. There may be a chance, Gray, for you. There may be a possibility if you check out my channel.
I want to jump in and answer these last couple questions. Pirate, yes, Kairos is very sane. You can't run an empire and not be sane, to be quite honest. Vars, are there any staples of society, their food or traditions, much different from our own? Depends on what your definition of much different. I mean, this is kind of a feudal fantasy land. So there's more information about that. The guidebook, nothing really leaps to mind. They have their own customs, their own rituals, even their own slang, because the tiers are primarily a seafaring guide. So there's a lot of nautical slang I put in there, but nothing hugely. They want to live, love, and survive, and hopefully, you live better lives than. So on a base level, they're a lot like us. Let's put it that way. Only with magic. We don't have magic, unfortunately. And finally, Raginator, the winner of the last. Yes, I can cut the cheese and have done so with impunity many, many times. Oh, and Pyro. Is there an archon of cheese? There should be, but I don't think there is. Sorry.
Raginator, the way that you direct message him is if you click on Radio Johnny Panda's name, and maybe John will put it in there again, if you click, oh, there's a gap in the schedule. Okay, Takanjia. Yeah, I thought that Immerse Simp was up next. Maybe I missed that and I just was dumb. So that's radio. That's John right there. If you click on Radio Johnny Panda, there should be a little menu that pops up, and one of the options is to message him directly. I also wanted to say that there was something else. Oh, about D&D. I wanted to mention. So I'm going to be playing this game again tonight, as I mentioned, starting next week. I'm not going to be playing this game next week, but the week after that, I'm going to be playing Tyranny as a series during my Pen and Pixel show. And after having played this tonight, oh man, am I going to be playing this as a series, because this is exactly what the show is about. Lots of story and narrative, lots of lore. I love it. So this is exactly the kind of game that's well suited for Pen and Pixel. So next week, though, we're not doing that. Next week, we are playing my once a month D&D session with the GOG stream team. So I will be joined by Darksaber, by Pyron Jade, by Megapie Man PhD, and by Screaming Joypad, and the intrepid adventurers will be moving their way through a module called Storm King's Thunder, which is a really cool adventure. There's a lot to it, and I'm looking forward to that, but that's going to be next week. Then after that, we'll be back into Tyranny, and I'll be playing Tyranny until it's finished. Once Tyranny is finished, then I will go to Star Trek Judgment Rights. I know I was going to do that, and then this came up as an option, and I'm like, okay, that's awesome, I got to do that. So I will play Star Trek Judgment Rights in the future, but first, I got to check this out. So if you haven't already done so, please make sure to pre-order the game. Do it through GOG. You saw the affiliate link down there. Maybe someone could put that up one more time. You can order the game through them. If you're interested in finding out more about the game, come check out my channel in about an hour and a half, about 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be on there. And on Thursday as well, I'm going to be playing Dishonored 2 on my channel. So if that stuff sounds cool to you, please do that. Also, check out both John's and my work. John and I have had occasion to work together on several occasions on books, on anthologies, on stories. We have other things in the works as well that we can't talk about quite yet, but that are going to be cool things as well. So please make sure that you check out both John's work. If you don't go to my channel, then you can check out John's work and my work as well. And thank you guys. This was a great deal of fun. And John, my friend, I will see you in about an hour and a half. But thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Chat, can we get some love for John? And John, thank you.
And thank you guys for all the awesome questions. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad you had a good time. I hope everyone in stream had a good time too.
Awesome sauce. All right, I'm going to let you go, John, and I'll call you back in about 90 minutes.
Sounds good, man. Everyone take care. Have a good time. Play Tyranny.
Play Tyranny. Bye, man. All right, that's it for me. You guys know the drill, as I already mentioned. We will be back. There we go. Let me exit out of that. So we will be back at you guys in about 90 minutes on my channel. But right now, stay tuned for Takanjia. Takanjia is going to be streaming. Takanjia, what are you dreaming, Takanjia? What are you streaming? What are you streaming, Takanjia? I want to know. Is he playing Tentacles? Takanji is going to be playing. After that is going to be Immersed Simp with Transistor, which is an awesome game as we continue the fall promo. And then, as I said, I'll be on my channel at 8:30 p.m., which is going to be fun times. Play Tyranny as if it was out. Space Quest 1. Cool. So watch Takanji playing Space Quest 1. Definitely check out Immersed Simp playing Transistor. And again, if you want to see more Tyranny, come over to my channel. By the way, we are limited. We can't play past a certain point. So don't worry, you're going to get a bunch of the games spoiled because we can't play that far. Once we get to Thursday, then all bets are off. And then, as I said, starting not next week, but the week after, I'll be doing a regular series. So by that time, maybe many of you will have a chance to play through it if you don't want to have it spoiled for you. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for the great questions. Thank you also to the mods. Thank you to Sharian and to Kanjia, to everyone who did such a great job. Thank you, mods. You did a great job. And I will catch all of you wonderful people either on my channel or next week on Pen and Pixels. Thanks again to John Helfers. Thanks again to Paradox Interactive. Thanks again to Obsidian for getting me a review build of the game. And thank you, of course, to the wonderful Outstar Walker for making it possible for me to be able to stream the game and for putting me on that list. I really appreciate it. This is an awesome looking game, like a really cool game that as I was playing it, I was like, interest building. So I'm really pumped up. It looks really, really awesome. So good stuff. Link to my channel is under that host. So definitely head over there and follow me if you want to know when I go live as well. That's it for me. Thanks, everybody. You guys are the best. And I'll catch all of you either on my channel tonight or later on this week, or I will catch you next week on Pen and Pixels for D&D and the week after on Pen and Pixels for more Tyranny. Until then, thanks, everybody. I'll catch you soon. Be good to each other. Have a good night.